Masato Osuki and his mother, Mamako Osuki, are in their home kitchen. Masato fills out a questionnaire while his mother cooks. The questions are about his relationship with his mother. The first question is if he is close to his mom. Masato answers that his relationship is average. The next question is how much he talks with his mom. He puts average as the answer for that as well. Meanwhile, Mamako calls Masato by his nickname Mike-kun and asks him about his school life. Masato doesn't respond. He moves on to the next question on the questionnaire, which inquires if his mother has recently said anything that made him happy. He answers not much. His mother then brings him the food she has been preparing, while Masato moves on to the next question. Mamako leans in next to Masato's face and asks him if he is listening to her, but he does not respond. Mamako then holds his shoulders and looks at the questionnaire, asking Masato what it is. Masato gets agitated and pushes her away, telling her to stay away from his stuff. He then states how annoying it is whenever she calls him by his nickname. This makes Mamako puff her face in anger. The next question on the questionnaire is if going on an adventure with your mother would make you closer. Masato is caught off guard by the strangeness of the question. He puts down maybe as the answer. Then he signs the questionnaire. Sometime after that event, Masumi Shirase arrives at their house. She introduces herself as she presents her ID to them. She tells Masato and Mamako that she is here as part of the survey that the cabinet office is conducting. With a sparkle in her eye, she adds that she informed them since Shirase met to inform them. Masato asks her why she introduced herself using a bad pun. Masumi replies that when she was a kid, a lot of kids made fun of her for her name. Growing up, she decided to just own it. If any of you out there are getting bullied by other kids for your looks, just own it and get a job at the circus. Mamako tells Masato that Shirase has come with some important news. However, she is interrupted by Masumi, who tells her that she will be the one to give Masato the news since she is Shirase, and her job is to inform people. Mamako silently agrees. She then tells Masato that she is going to do something else for a while before leaving. Shirase then tells Masato that he is going to begin a new life, but Masato does not seem to understand. Shirase tells him that according to the results of a survey conducted by the cabinet office, a majority of online gamers want to enter the world of video games. She asks Masato if he feels the same way. He says yes, he would, before adding that it would not be possible. However, before he can finish, Shirase gets up with a burst of energy and gets on Masato's computer. She proceeds to type in a code, and as she presses enter, the computer screens start to glow. Masato cannot believe what he is seeing, and Shirase tells him that it is exactly what he is thinking. Masato starts to glow as well as he is sucked into the computer screen. He flies through a colorful vortex, still glowing. He looks back and sees the real world through his computer screen. Shirase and Mamako are standing there, looking at him. Masato thinks about how he was always embarrassed to be around his mother and how he had said awful things to her. But now that he is going to have an adventure and become strong, he can probably be more honest around her when he returns. He hopes that he can hug his mom when he comes back from the adventure. Masato appears in a fantasy world with flying islands and lush green forests. He gasps as he sees fairies fluttering around him, remembering that there were things like these in the online games he played. He cannot believe that he is finally in a video game. Masato is very excited. Suddenly, he hears Mamako's voice calling him Amini. She appears inside the video game similarly to Masato, stating that she told him to wait so she could join him. But he did not wait. She tells him that they will go on a lot of fun adventures together. Masato is in shock and cannot believe this is happening. At the teleportation palace, they are in front of the king. He asks Masato and Mamako for their names before they begin. Mamako introduces herself as Mamako Osuki and Masato as Mei-kun. Masato corrects her and tells the king his real name. The king then starts to do an initial account registration for both of them on green holographic tablets. He states that once they register, nothing can be changed after that. The king tells them they are registered. This puts Masato in a frenzy as he did not intend to register with his real name. The king then presents Masato and Mamako with their basic stats and asks them to accept them. Masato is classed as a normal hero. Masato asks the king what the normal hero class signifies. The king tells him that normal signifies normal and tasks like saving the world are not expected of him, adding that he will have a normal level of closeness, a normal level of happiness. The king tells them that those are the things they must aim towards. The king then tells them to go and begin their adventure. Masato gets up to leave but then states he still does not understand. The king then explains to them that they are in a closed beta version of an online game. He adds that special technology is used to put the players inside of the game, and they want Masato and Mamako to test it for them. The king then informs them that the test players have been chosen based on strict criteria, which use the responses provided by the candidates on a certain survey. The king also informs them that some players who had provided their names on that survey, which was originally supposed to be anonymous, were also chosen, making it easier to track them. Masato laughs at how someone could be that stupid before realizing it was him who did it. The king then starts to tell them about the game. He states that because it is still in the beta stage, it does not have an official title, and they are calling it MMORPG Beta. The king explains it is a fantasy MMORPG, which offers a wide variety of classes to choose from. Players can fight, craft items, and even decorate their houses with in-game items, which means that the players are free to play the game in whatever manner they like. Masato asks why they are assigned their classes instead of getting the option to choose. The king replies to him saying they have been given classes that nobody else has chosen to gather more data about the game. Masato is not pleased about the fact that some of his choices are stripped from him, however he still values the experience. Masato tells the king he is grasping the basics of the situation he is put in. He says they are in an online game. The king sarcastically says Masato is quick to pick that up. He then diverts his attention toward Mamako and asks if she has any questions. Mamako shyly inquired what the king meant when he said account. This shocks both the king and Masato. The king asks Mamako what she thinks an account means. A confused and panicking Mamako starts to count on her fingers and tells him that is what she imagines it means. Masato sighs. The king states that it would be better if she just found the answers herself since she has Masato by her side. He then gives her a guidebook to help her. Only if we could get a guidebook for the real world, however, most of you would still fail. The king announces that it is now time for the next event. He asks Masato and Mamako to follow him. Masato stops him, saying that he is not done discussing the most important thing. He asks the king why his mother is there with him. The king states that the answer to his question lies deeply intertwined with the goal of the game, adding that if he reveals the true purpose, the GMs would force him to do their bidding. The king tells him that the best course of action would be for him to learn the true purpose naturally as he progresses in the game. The king then announces that he will give Masato a first-time player bonus, so he will quit asking him questions. All of them arrive in a room. 3 swords are placed in boulders. Masato asks if he can take any one of them. The king says he can, adding that these are the reward for completing the most difficult quests in the game, before adding that players these days will not play your game unless given a great item to start their journey with. Mamako comments on how choosy players are these days and recalls how back in the day heroes would start their journey with weapons made of sticks. Masato sternly says that the person from the NES generation could shut up. The king asks Masato to pick a sword, and Masato walks towards the blue one, thinking to himself that he is feeling a connection to that sword. As he pulls out the sword, the king introduces it as the Holy Sword of the Great Heaven. Firmament. A long time ago, when darkness covered the skies of this world, the darkness was banished by this sword in a single swing. Masato is happy with his sword. The king tells him that Masato is a true hero as only a true hero could wield that sword. The king adds that the fate of the game depends upon the test players, for it to move from the closed beta to the release. Stating that now that Masato is a true hero, his deeds will take the world into a whole new dimension. Masato blushes at the thought of him leading the world. He assures that now that he was chosen by a holy sword, he will try his best to not let everyone down. Getting chosen by a holy sword being the cornerstone of heroes and all, Mamako goes on to get her sword as well. She then pulls out both of the remaining swords. This agitates Masato and the king. Mamako tells them that if she only took one, the remaining holy sword would get lonely. She then comments on the sharpness of the 2 swords before asking the king if she can use them for her cooking. A computer voice welcomes the players to a tutorial battle. Masato and Mamako are standing opposite an array of monsters. As the battle begins, Mamako takes the lead with her sword Terra de Madre, life itself that was born from the land at the dawn of creation. It is also called the Holy Sword of Mother Earth, and it becomes the source of all life on Earth. Terra de Madre lights up in flames as Mamako swings it around, releasing small orange balls that form a circle around the monsters before releasing huge spikes from them, killing all the monsters. As they die, another gate opens and bigger monsters emerge from it. Mamako exclaims that she will not lose. Her second sword, Altura Sparkles, a special sword that protects the Earth from a worldwide flood. Also called the Holy Sword of the Mother Ocean, signifying the contract between sea and land. As Mamako starts to swing it around, it emits a strong blue aura, shaped like water, that disperses into the air, forming droplets, which rain on the monsters, destroying all of them. As the third wave of monsters appears, flying in from above, Mamako asks Masato to show her his power. Masato wields his sword and swings it in the direction of the monsters above, sending a green spiral towards them. However, he misses by a long shot and ends up hitting a baby monster. Nonetheless, Mamako is supportive of Masato and congratulates him. Mamako notices how down Masato is and rushes towards him, inquiring what is wrong. She asks if he has been hurt. Masato tells her that is not the case. Instead, he is upset over the fact that she received a 2-hit multi-target attack as her basic attack skill, whereas his attack is so lame. Mamako tries to cheer him up, saying his attack beam is amazing and it surprises her when he shoots it. She tries to get him off the ground so they can go to the next level. However, Masato pushes her hand away and tells her to go do a solo adventure if she wants it so badly. He tells her that once she is in the field, she will encounter a lot of monsters. However, with her firepower, she will annihilate the enemy with her first swing. Mamako is confused by the concept of firepower. She tells Masato that she is not a stove burner. Masato tells her to leave him alone there. Mamako gets worried and says to Masato that according to the guidebook, if one has a 2-hit multi-target attack as one of their basic attacks, their child would be quite happy and would want to go on adventures with their parents. Masato lays on the ground and does not respond. Mamako asks if Masato is upset because she is his mom. Masato gets up and asks her to explain to him what she is doing there, as she had talked to Shirase before him and the people running this game. Masato states that although it is weird being inside a video game, he will not ask any questions about it as he enjoys the experience. But his mom being there with him is quite strange. Mamako tells him that other mothers also get sent inside video games with their sons, but Masato tells her that they are not. He tells her that this is a fantasy for young men and that parents should not be welcome in a place like this. Mamako puffs up her face and informs Masato that he did not need to be so rude. However, Masato is dead set on getting answers. Mamako tells him that she is told not to explain what is going on until later. Masato tells her that if she does not tell him what she is hiding, he will disown her. Tears start to form in Mamako's eyes as she apologizes to Masato. She says that Shirase and the others seem to have their reasons, so she is not sure how much she is allowed to tell them. Mamako adds that she does not want to lie to him or hurt him and wants to go on adventures with him so that they can become close as mother and son. This moves Masato, and he tells her that he completely understands where she is coming from. Mamako tells Masato not to say that he would disown her, as it is the saddest thing someone has said to her. Masato slants his head to the ground and apologizes to his mother. Mamako runs her fingers through his hair, stating that she loves it when he is kind and caring. Masato and Mamako teleport in front of the first country called the Kingdom of Mammalia. As they walk through its market, Masato notices how some of the faces of the characters are not fully developed. Mamako asks for her sword, and after she gets it, she destroys the entrance of the Adventurers Guild so that they take them seriously, as per the guidebook. Masato starts to worry. An injured Shirase appears from the rubble and welcomes them. Masato thanks her for taking care of them and asks if she is okay as she is still bleeding. She assures him that it is only an in-game effect and that she is an in-game object, not a PC or NPC, which means no PK penalty would be applied. Shirase then introduces them to other members of the guild. Masato chooses Rushera the heavyweight knight, Dorino the thief, and Shirite the elf. Mamako asks which one of them is Masato's type and convinces him that finding party members is the same as finding a life partner. You should start looking for an adventure immediately, as that is your last hope. Masato sits with his mom, conducting interviews of the party members he spent a lot of time choosing. Sitting across from them is Rushera, the heavyweight knight. She tells Masato and his mom that her hobby is dealing out the amount of damage she receives. She adds that she allows her enemies to hit her as much as they want, and then responds by overkilling them. Mamako tells her that she is a very cruel heavy knight, and then she rejects her. The next interviewee is Torino. She tells Masato and Mamako that her hobby is stealing. She enjoys the feeling of hitting someone and then nicking their stuff. Mamako tells her that she is a wicked thief, and she is calling the cops on her, before rejecting her as well. Lastly, Shirite the elf priest sits across from them. Mamako wonders what an elf is. She then rejects her. Mamako rejects every candidate for their party. Talk about having high standards. Porta greets Masato and Mamako, introducing herself as another test player. Masato quickly points out that she is just like them. Mamako asks what her ability is. Porta tells them she is a merchant. Her basic skill is getting discounts when staying at an inn and shopping. Mamako calls her a walking voucher. Porta adds that she also has a special bag provided to her as a new player bonus. The ability of her bag is that it can carry up to 300 items no matter how heavy or big they are. Mamako notes how it is a convenient storage device. This reminds her of how happy she had been when she finally bought vacuum sealing bags. Porta adds that in addition to that, she also has skills that allow her to create or appraise items. Masato is thrilled about Porta's ability for item creation and appraisal. Porta's expression changes. She nervously tells them that she registered as a non-combat class and therefore she cannot fight. However, Porta vows that she will give her all in her respective areas of expertise. Mamako smiles and tells Masato that she has already made up her mind. Mamako asks Porta to become his son's bride, and Porta accepts her offer quickly. Masato is embarrassed, and he corrects her that she is to become a party member, not his bride. Masato looks at the next possible candidate, called Wise. Mamako notes she is a 15-year-old girl. Porta adds that she is a sage. Porta tells them that the sage class allows users to use attack and healing magic. Mamako notices a note on the bottom of Wise's application stating she would chain cast instant death spells on them if they did not pick her. While Mamako wonders what chain casting is, Masato thinks about how she has good stats but a wild personality, which could be annoying later on. He thinks she is the type of sage who recklessly uses her magic to wreak havoc for her party, local scenery, and nearby buildings just for her amusement. Masato listens to his hero's intuition and decides to reject her application. He crumples the application form to toss it away, but it straightens itself out and lands back in front. After struggling to dispose of it and failing, Masato steps on it, and a scream comes from it. A girl's voice tells him off before a huge blast happens in the room. The paper transforms into Wise, but she still has Masato's footprint on her face. Masato cannot believe what just took place in front of him. Wise is not pleased with Masato's actions. She threatens to thank him properly and makes a book materialize in her hand out of thin air. She starts to cast a spell on him. Red diagrams appear around Masato, and he is transported somewhere outside. When he looks up, Wise is standing next to him. She steps on his face as payback. She gives him credit for letting her step on his face without any resistance. Masato asks her for forgiveness, but Wise interrupts him and tells him that this is her favorite place. She finally decides to forgive him and lifts her foot from Masato's face. As she walks away, Masato glances under her skirt. He sits up and asks Wise what she wants from them and if she transformed into the paper only to surprise them. He asks if she is desperate to join their party and that she did everything she could. Wise gets embarrassed but tells him that he is right. Masato asks her to sit next to him so that he can conduct her interview to see if she is fit. When she sits next time, Masato comments on how close she is to him. Wise's face turns red, and she points out that he asked her to sit there. She asks Masato to give her some space, and he slides away. Masato steals the show with his social distancing rees. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Shirasa apologizes to Mamako as she cannot find her son. Mamako starts to cry, but Porta consoles her, saying Masato is a hero nonetheless, so she should not worry. This comforts Mamako, and she believes he can fend for himself, but she still cannot shake the feeling that something bad is about to happen. However, her idea of bad is Masato becoming friends with someone else, and going on a journey with them instead of her. Shirasa agrees that it would be bad. Her eyes sparkle as she declares she has a plan. On the outskirts of the kingdom, Wise tells Masato that she also joined the game as a test player and asks him about his knowledge of the game. He tells her that he knows they got thrown into a video game, but cannot figure out why his mother came in with him. Wise tells him that she can answer that query and reveals that the genre of the game is mom's massively maternal multiplayer making up with offspring role-playing game, or MMORPG for short. With a sly smile on his face, Masato asks Wise if she is making a fool of him. Wise turns red and tells him to believe her or she will start chain casting instant death and revival magic on him. Although Masato would not have a problem with this as long as he is alive at the end of it, he agrees to listen to her. Wise then explains to him that the goal of this game is to get parents and children closer to each other, which is why they are being brought in as pairs and made to go on adventures together. She admits that she does not know why the game was created in the first place, but does know that to get back to the real world, they have to win the game. Masato asks her what the win condition is. Wise replies that it is to get closer with his mom. Shirase explains to Mamako that the most important aspect of this game is her relationship with her son. She must believe strongly in that bond and speak to Mother Earth. She adds that Mother Earth will listen to her wish and probably grant it as well. Wise tells Masato that she is also adventuring with her mother until they have a fight and split up. She adds that ever since then, she has been on her own. Masato asks her if she is helping them clear the game so she can return home. Wise has a nasty look on her face as she tells him that she wants his mom to be her mother as well. You could give Wise some pointers on how to get adopted since you have done so well yourself. Mamako holds her holy sword, Tira de Mador, as she addresses Mother Earth, saying that they are both mothers, so she should understand her feelings. She asks Mother Earth to show her where her son is so she can tell him to be nice to her mother. The sword starts to radiate an orange aura. Back outside, Masato asks Wise if it would be easier for her to win the game if she just made up with her mother. She claps back, saying it is completely impossible. As she says this, the ground under them goes up in a spiral, which makes both of them fall. Mamako is witnessing all of this from the guild using a telescope. Mamako tells Shirase and Porta that she feels like she won an important battle. A buzzer rings and Shirase informs Mamako that she has unlocked a new support skill that allows her to locate her son regardless of where he is and what he is doing. This skill is called Mother's Fang. Wise is locked behind bars. Masato tells her that she is locked up because her stepping on his face after she teleported him is being considered attempted PK. She defends herself, saying she just stepped on his face and he stepped on hers as well. Masato explains to her that he is human while she is a piece of paper when the stepped-on faces happened. Mamako tells Wise that she cannot be her mother, however, she is more than welcome to join their party. Masato explains to Wise that if she joins them, she can get out of lockup, and if she runs into her mother during their travels, Mamako will make them make up. Mamako agrees, impressed at how Masato knows everything she is thinking. Wise, however, has a different opinion. She states that she would rather bring destruction to the entire world than make up with her mother. With that, she turns away and sits down with her back towards everyone. Masato kneels too and tells her that he would appreciate having her and her magic skills on their side for this adventure. Wise, seeing how desperate Masato is, accepts joining your party as a favor. The party stands next to a big hole in the ground. Mamako asks Masato if this is a dungeon and if they are going inside it. He states they go inside, defeat monsters, and make money. Porta adds that the gems from monsters' bodies are useful as crafting material and fuel. Mamako wants to buy face lotion, so she agrees to join them. Mamako cares about her skincare routine more in a video game than some of you in the real world. The ground underneath Mamako sinks, and as she falls underground, Wise and Masato grab hold of her, but all the party members end up falling underground. Mamako inquires if everyone is okay, and everyone replies they are. It is very dark in the dungeon. Masato asks Mamako to stay where she is and Wise to use her magic to make some light. Wise says she cannot use them. Masato then asks Porta to craft something that would make light. She replies that she dropped her bag when she fell and starts to cry while she apologizes. Mamako tries to cheer Porta up and says hip hip, hooray, and then she begins to glow, illuminating everything around her. A buzzer rings and Porta notes that Mamako received a new skill called Mother's Light. Wise joins them and recalls that her mother used to glow as well. The party makes their way deeper into the dungeon. Masato fears that the monster could show up any second. Suddenly, small blobs of blue slime appear. Wise tells everyone that they are no match for her and starts to cast a spell. The slime releases a wave of energy that seals Wise, leaving her unable to use her magic. Mamako uses Terra de Madre, an array of spikes coming out of the ground, killing all the slime and unsealing Wise. Porta rushes to pick up the gems. Masato and Mamako say she looks very cute as she gathers them. There is a buzzer sound. The stat hologram pops up showing that Mamako has just leveled up, increasing her basic stats and giving her SP, which she can use to customize her character. Porta notices a slime blob drop, and she looks up to see an entire army of them drop from the ceiling. Wise starts to cast a spell, however she is once again sealed. All the small blobs join together forming a huge monster. The slime monster shoots slime attacks at them, and Masato jumps to help Mamako evade the attacks. However, they both get covered with slime regardless. Mamako's clothes start to dissipate because of the slime, however, Masato's clothes do not. Masato slips on the slime, and his face lands in his Mamako's bosom. She starts to make jokes about the situation, but Masato rolls away in embarrassment. The monster blasts Mamako with the same attack again. Mamako begs him to stop as she is wearing a thong that day. Her pants also disappear. In the meantime, Wise casts a spell at the monster. Masato asks her how she could do that since she was sealed. Wise tells him that this is because she is a high-level sage. Porta interrupts her moment of glory by stating she gave her an item to break free. High-level sage, more like a high-level liar. Mamako then comes to the rescue with her Terra de Madre. She tells the monster she will get her revenge and uses her spike attack to destroy the monster. She starts to glow after defeating it as she is happy. Masato tells her to put some clothes on. Porta hurries and covers her up with an apron. Masato is not pleased with this and wants her to wear something less revealing. However, he thinks it is still better than her being naked and gives Porta a thumbs up. It is at this moment that Masato realizes that due to the extreme power difference between him and his mother, she would be the one to steal all his glory. Wise points out a coffin on top of the mountain of gems left by the monster's body. It opens, and there is a dead Shirase inside of it. The sight worries Masato. Wise, with her magic book in her hand, says that she will revive her with her magic. Her book starts to emit a red aura as she casts a spell, and soon afterward, Shirase opens her eyes. She gets up quickly and tells them she is there to inform them that she has come back to life. Masato asks her to tell them their name and job this time around. She introduces herself as Shirase and says that this time she is a mysterious nun. Masato tells her that he will remember that. Shirase adds that she is grateful that the party defeated the monster that ate her, and to show her gratitude, she will give them a special quest in recognition of their powers. Shirase raises her hands and says that if they are willing to accept said quest, they should prepare their equipment and head to the small farming village Moman, which is west of the kingdom of Momelia. The party is walking in the market, and Masato states that they have plenty of mam and now they should buy some equipment. Mamako deduces that 1 mam is roughly about 1 yen. She spots a stall selling 1 carton of a dozen eggs for 100 mam, which she thinks is quite cheap. Mamako goes from one stall to another. She wants to buy cooking ingredients. Masato is getting a bad feeling about the entire situation. 100 mam for a dozen eggs, I'd be upset too. The party is sitting at the table together and having food. Masato looks out of the window and he still cannot believe that it is his first morning inside an RPG world. Mamako comes over to him and asks if he likes the food. He tells her that he does, and this makes Mamako very pleased. Wise, on the other hand, is ecstatic because of the menu. The amazing combo of rice with raw egg and miso soup with seaweed brings tears of joy to her eyes. Now that is a healthy meal. Most of you would have a similar reaction to McDonald's. Wise adds that this food reminds her of her roots. Porta is concerned because Wise cannot stop crying while eating. Wise says she is so happy that she will eat the rest of her meal on her knees, keeping in line with the Japanese tradition. She wants her knees to go numb as well so that she can get the full experience. Mamako and Porta say that they will follow her lead and do the same. Masato cannot seem to catch a break from these women. He compares them to Japanese tourists. Wise is chanting Japan, Japan as she asks for a second serving. Mamako asks Masato if he is glad that they bought the eggs and miso from the market. Masato agrees. Masato then demands everyone's attention and tells them that they are going on a special quest that day to the Momen village. He declares that once they are finished with their meals, they will go buy new equipment. At the equipment store, the salesman shows a bikini armor. He says it provides great freedom of movement. Masato thinks that he would never let his mom wear armor like that. Mamako looks over his shoulder and says she has never seen armor like that. Masato shouts that the only person he does not want to see try it on now wants to try it on. Mamako goes to try it on, and she reveals her final look to Masato. He looks away and says to himself that nobody understands how he feels looking at his mother in a bikini. Mamako senses the embarrassment Masato is feeling and asks if it does not look good on him. He says that it does look good on her, but he is sad because of a deeper issue in this situation and asks her to swiftly change back into her regular clothes. Mamako seems to get the hint, however she is not that pleased with Masato's reaction, so she decides to try on the next one. She wears a high school girl's uniform. Masato is furious. The next armor is a dark, villainous armor. Mamako gets in character and says with this dark power she will destroy everything in her path. Masato falls to his knees due to disappointment. He begs his mom to please stop. He is beyond embarrassed at this point. She requests that she try one last armor. When Masato sees it, he asks Porta for her opinion. She says that it is a robe of healing, which is mostly worn by magic users and healers. She adds that his mother can only use warrior armor like Masato, which means that Mamako cannot equip this. However, Mamako is determined as she points out that the shoulder width and overall size of it are a perfect fit for her. Masato has to explain to her that it is not about the size because her class cannot equip an item like that. However, Mamako still decides to try on the robe. Masato is worried about his mom, so he asks Porta what the consequences are if one chooses to ignore class restrictions and try on something anyway. Porta is stumped as well. Suddenly, Mamako starts to call for help from inside the changing room. Masato enters the changing room to find Mamako struggling to get the robe off. He takes it off her. Wise and Masato are outside sitting on a rock. Masato is glad that they were able to secure the equipment that was required. However, he comments that things take a strange turn when his mom is around. He rants to Wise that it does not feel like an adventure at all and rather feels like a normal life. Mamako and Porta arrive with huge bags and new equipment. Masato asks what all of that is, and Mamako explains to him that there was a sale at one of the shops, so she went ahead and bought clothes for everybody. Masato sternly asks her why she has been overly excited ever since getting there. Mamako replies that she is happy about going on an adventure with him. Masato cuts her off, saying that was not what he meant and that she is meddlesome, immature, and selfish. Mamako says she does not mean to act that way. Masato cuts her off again and shouts at her, saying she is always around him no matter what he is doing. He tells her having her around is nothing more than a pain. Wise tells Masato that he is going too far. Wise looks at Porta for backup, but she is too innocent to participate in quarrels, so she just stands there embarrassed. Mamako apologizes and says that she will not act that way anymore. This makes Masato self-reflect. He is disappointed in himself for not being able to control his emotions when things start to go south. He compares himself to a kid throwing a tantrum. He probably imagined you crying because you died in Minecraft. Mamako sits down and pats her lap. She asks Masato to come over so she can lickle his ears so that they can make up. Masato is embarrassed and he asks her why she needs to clean his ears for them to make up. Wise smacks him on his back. Submitting to peer pressure, Masato puts his head in his mother's lap. Mamako starts to clean his ears and she asks him not to move. Masato tells Mamako that sometimes he says things to her that he does not mean and he apologizes to her for that. He adds that he does count on her sometimes, like right now. He needs someone else to clean his ears for him as he cannot do it himself. Mamako taunts him, saying that she is only useful to him when he needs his ears cleaned. Masato defends himself, saying that is not what he meant. She tells him that she loves when he is kind to her and cares about her. This moment makes Mamako so happy that she starts to glow again. Masato points it out to her. Porta announces that they have made up. The party arrives at the Mumon village, where the mayor tells him about the incident. He says that just a few days ago, a demon called the Empress of Night appeared in the village. She used her powers to bring the villagers to heal, and then she presented her demands. She had stated that if they wanted to live, they must bring her the most handsome guy from their village, specifying that he must have pecs and abs that she could rub all day and still not get tired. He would be the sacrifice needed to spare the lives of the villagers. Masato says he imagines the demon to be a horny, dumb old cougar. The mayor adds that the sacrifice had to be handed over tonight. He is grateful that they appeared as the villagers had no idea what to do. The mayor admits that he planned to make them stay by giving them free food and lodgings to make sure they were still there when the demon showed up so that they could deal with her. Masato agrees to help them. The mayor thanks him and insists that they enjoy the Mimon's milk bath, the hot spring in the village, before they do anything else. Taking a milk bath before a boss battle has been the least unusual thing the party participates in. Masato is sitting in the hot spring, thinking that it has added to his beauty. He calls for his mom, but she is standing next to him in the hot spring, completely naked. Masato gets weirded out. He asks her what she is doing there. She says she wanted to join him in the bath since the mayor had said they could have it to themselves that day. Mamako goes up to Masato and pushes his face into her bosom. She then calls Wise and Porta to join them in the bath. Porta runs and jumps in the bath, announcing that she was submerged in the water up to her shoulders, so she was fine. Wise, on the other hand, is hesitant about getting in the bath with Masato. Mamako says that since she cannot join a mother and her son in the bath, she could not be her daughter. Wise weighs her options, and she knows that becoming Mamako's daughter is her best shot, especially after what the mayor had told her about the demon. Mamako then asks her to come in by saying that wearing a towel at a hot spring is bad manners. Wise drops her towel and joins the party in the hot spring. She addresses Masato and says she would kill him if he dares to look at her. But she is cut off by Mamako, who tells her that girls should not speak in that manner. So Wise changes her tone and says nothing would happen if he were to look at her, but tells him not to look too much. How long could you hold your own in Masato's situation? Mamako gets behind Wise and rubs her shoulders, startling Wise. Mamako tells her to take a moment and relax. Mamako asks if Masato wants to talk about their battle with the Empress of Night. He notes that according to the mayor, she is a demon. He asks his mom if there is something about her written in the guidebook. Mamako replies that although there is a lot of information about monsters, there is nothing mentioned about the Empress of Night. Masato thinks it could be a glitch in the game or a brand new monster. Porter reminds him that it is quite dangerous to fight a monster without any background knowledge about it. Masato says that now that they have accepted the quest, they have no choice but to fight. Wise reveals that the Empress of Night uses magic, offense, buffs, healing, and the entire lot. She adds that the Empress also possesses the cast cancel skill, which means she cannot be interrupted while casting. Furthermore, she also has invincibility barriers, and the only way to deal damage is 3 hits in a row. In conclusion, she is not an easy fight. Mamako and Porta are impressed at how well-informed Wise is. Masato asks her how she knows so much about her. Wise says of course she knows so much about who she is, but she does not finish her sentence and says she heard a rumor about her before she jumped in with everyone else. Masato does not believe her. Wise is angry and stands up, not realizing she is in the hot spring. She stands over Masato completely naked, scolding him, saying he should trust her since they are party members. However, the stark realization that she is naked comes, and her face turns red. Masato asks her to give him a minute so he can say his last words. He turns to his mom and tells her he is about to die from a magic blast because he sees a girl naked. He adds that he might die multiple times, but she should not worry as he will come back to life in the end. Porta tells him that she has her healing items ready, so he should not worry. Masato waits for his punishment, but Wise refuses to punish him as she thinks a pervert like him would enjoy the punishment. She asks him if he is annoyed that she is not punishing him, but in the end, she runs off crying and calls Masato a jerk. A completely reasonable response. Shirase is standing in the forest, wondering what is taking Masato so long to show up, since this is not typical for the hot spring sequence. The Empress of Night sits on a chair made up of young studs and asks Shirase if there is something wrong. Shirase replies that everything is under control and sympathizes with her, but her actions are far different than what the creators of the game intended. Therefore, she leaves them no choice but to revoke her access to the system. The Empress is unfazed as she tells Shirase that it is a shame this has to happen. Shirase continues and says she has already prepared a way to neutralize her. She raises 2 fingers in the air, but her attack does not work. The Empress tells her that it is useless to try to erase her from the system because she possesses a special power. She snaps her fingers and a beam shoots out of them, throwing Shirase into a tree. Shirase's voice starts trembling as she says that it is a stun attack. The Empress tells her she is right, but since she only got a basic explanation for it, she does not recall how she got it. The Empress creates a portal over her head, which makes Shirase stand up. She says she has one last thing to tell the Empress, that her daughter is in the vicinity along with the rest of the members of her party. Shirase says the Empress has one last chance to make up with her daughter and start over. The Empress replies that she is content with the way she is and prefers living freely. She points at the kids that are around her and says they do everything they are told and are smart, unlike her daughter. Shirase interjects, saying what kind of parent would use their child as furniture, but she soon realizes nothing she says will change the Empress's mind. The Empress says goodbye and shoots a beam at Shirase, which impales her with a branch. Shirase closes her eyes and dies. Back in Maman village, Masato is excited about the Maman milk and drinks an entire bottle, hoping it will make him stronger. Wise, standing outside his door, asks if he is in there and if they can talk. Masato asks if she is there to punish him, and Wise tells him that she is not. She tells Masato that she is going for a walk around the nearby forest. He asks her why she is going for a walk right before a boss fight. She asks him to join her, and Masato points out that she is being weird. He tells her he knows what is going on between her and the Empress of the Night. This infuriates Wise, and she says she is going on her own. Misato opens the door quickly to stop her, but this makes both of them fall. Wise falls on the bottom and Misato falls over her. Momoko enters and tells Misato she bought them matching pajamas. She tells Misato if Wise is his girlfriend, he should properly introduce them first. Wise and Misato shout that they are not. The party is sitting around a table. Misato asks Wise to tell everyone what is going on and says he has figured it out completely himself. Momoko asks Wise if this is about her mother. Wise gives in and tells everyone that the Empress of Night is her mother. Wise says her mother is the worst as she spends all her money at host clubs. She says her real name is Genya, the stage name of one of her favorite hosts. Momoko cannot believe that someone would name their child like that. Wise tells them that her actions led to her parents divorcing, and she chose to live with her dad. However, her mother walked into her life one day and forced her to enter the game. However, when she realized that she was strong in the game and could make a lot of money, she fell into the habit of fooling around with men again. This causes a big fight between Wise and her mother, and that is the end of it. Wise tells them her mother feels the same way about her. Momoko comes over to her and says it is never over between a parent and child because of the deep connection they share. Momoko hugs her and asks her how she feels. Wise tells her she feels different from her mother and realizes how she misses her. The Empress fantasizes about receiving her sixth son. She plans to make him do a bridge so she can feel his abs while she drinks wine. She recalls Shirase's warning and says having a daughter is a huge pain. Wise is in her bedroom when her mother enters the room. This catches Wise off guard, and she asks her what she is doing there since her dad divorced her. Her mom has a laptop in her hand and she tells her that they are going to play a game and opens the laptop. Wise and her mother are transported inside the game where Wise registers her strong distaste towards playing a game with her mother. With a sly smile on her face, Wise's mother tells her that they cannot leave the game unless they bond with each other and become close. Therefore, she should be looking forward to having fun adventures with her. Facing a horde of monsters, Wise casts a spell to keep them busy. She asks her mom to follow her plan, but her mother steps into the battle and declares that her enemies and hot guys will kneel at her feet. She then launches such a powerful attack that it not only destroys all of the monsters, but also throws Wise in the air. Back at the Adventurers Guild, Wise tells her mother that she is done adventuring alongside her. Her mother acknowledges that even though it is not going very well, she has been trying her best all this time. Wise does not believe her and tells her that she is only screwing around before running off. Wise wakes up from a nap in Momoko's lap. She is surrounded by her party members, and Porta tells her that she fell asleep due to Momoko's lap. Momoko tells Wise that she is very stressed out and asks if she feels better now. Misato tells Wise that there is drool over her face, and she should get her act together because she is about to meet her mother. Wise cleans her face and decides to use Misato as an example to express how she feels about the entire situation. She summons her magic book and starts casting a spell. Misato turns pale after realizing that Wise has cast the death spell. Later, walking through the forest, the party encounters a coffin stuck in a tree. It looks similar to the one from the dungeon, so Wise decides to revive Shirase. Wise casts the revival spell and brings Shirase back to life. Shirase says she knows the next time her eyes will open she will look at the smiling faces of Misato's party. She adds that she would have liked to be revived after the branch that was impaling her was taken out of her, before dying again. The party then brings her coffin to the ground before reviving her again. What a diva. Shirase and the party members are gathered around a campfire. Wise tells Shirase that she has told everyone that the Empress is her mother and now they are going to have a family reunion. Shirase then offers them more information about the Empress because they are going to face her battle. Shirase makes a point of how her job is to inform them. Misato is impressed by her ability to keep bringing that in. Shirase tells the party that Kazuno is the real name of Wise's mother. She is a test player who has gone rogue to pursue her agenda. Wise's face turns red, and she declares that her mother is nothing more than an embarrassment to their family. Shirase continues, saying Kazuno belongs to the sage class like Wise, and her starting bonus is a book of spells that gives her the ability to use any magic in the game. Misato sympathizes with Wise in this regard. Wise tells him it is the worst as she does not play a role in any of the fights when her mother is with her. Shirase adds that Kazuno saves up a lot of SP and then uses them to learn the cast cancel skill. Additionally, she also possesses an invincible defense skill, which was not originally part of the game. Misato asks Shirase if Kazuno is using cheats. Momoko is not sure what a cheat is. Misato explains to her that it is when someone goes against the rules. Shirase points out that she is probably using cheating which she acquired from the outside. Shirase adds that Kazuno is also using the game's NPCs to do things they are not designed to do. Wise recalls feeling that something is going on with her mother. She concludes that her mother is very dumb. Shirase tells the party that when a player indulges in actions like that, they are harshly penalized, and that fine could be as large as hundreds of million yen. The penalty startles Wise. Masato asks Shirase if there is still time for them to make things right. Shirase tells them that as long as they are in the game, they can try to defuse the situation while abiding by the game's rules. She tells them that as long as they can manage to bring the situation to a heartwarming conclusion that brings Kazuno and Wise closer emotionally, she will write a report that pleases her superiors. Masato deduces that now the three of them will participate in Wise's family quest to clear the bad blood. Wise agrees. Porta says she will try her best. Masato adds that a situation like this is best solved with dialogue, but since they are against the Empress of Night, it's best to let Porta get some items ready in case things go south. Mamako does not hesitate and says that it feels inappropriate to delve into another family's issues, but in this case, it's okay to be nosy. Masato then asks Shirase about her plan to deal with the situation. Shirase says using the forbidden power hidden inside her, she will guide the party to the Empress. She says that the operations team has told her that she is currently opening another window and is now rewriting the system illegally. Shirase then starts to cast a special spell. The power of it terrifies Masato. Strong winds start to blow, extinguishing the campfire, and a portal appears. The Empress appears out of that portal. Wise, looking at her sitting on her throne of young boys, is disgusted. Wise shouts that she does not want something like being her mother, and the Empress tells her that she has always been annoying. The Empress summons her book of spells and casts Furoso de Lava, which causes huge amounts of lava to erupt from the land. Wise sees that her mother is not interested in dialogue, so she summons her book of spells as well and casts a spell that creates a blizzard which solidifies all the magma. The Empress remains unfazed and starts to control the trees in the forest, then squeezes the party members standing in the forest with them. Mamako pulls out her swords and tells Masato to stay calm. She uses her multi-target attacks to keep the trees at bay. Masato tells Porta to stay close to his mom. Masato calls out to Shirase only to notice that she dies once again. Porta shouts that she will revive Shirase as soon as she gets the chance. Porta and Mamako are surrounded by some trees. Masato uses his sword to attack the tree, but his attacks are no good. The Empress comes behind him to tell him that the trees were destructible until now. However, the bug had been patched. She tells Masato that Mamako and Porta will not be getting out soon. The Empress starts to laugh while waving her hand fan in the air, distorting the game scenery around her. Huge white walls surround them. Wise asks her what she is doing, and the Empress tells her she does not know. She only remembers receiving a present in her item storage. It has no sender's name, and this room appeared once she opened it. Wise does not believe her and asks her to stop playing dumb with them. The Empress tells her she is not lying. She adds that every wish she makes in that room comes true. Masato wonders if this is the cheating tool that the Empress is using. The Empress summons Cornelio, Orecchio, and Tifone. She states that she can use this room to rule over the game and the real world. Wise asks her how that is even possible. The Empress explains that while she is in this room, she can wish for top-secret documents of any country, and then they'd have to pay her enormous amounts of money to get them back. Wise warns her that she is taking this entire character too far, and she should put a stop to it. This makes the Empress angry. She admits that she wanted to use the game to solve the differences between herself and Wise, but blames Wise for sabotaging her plan. Wise does not recall what she did. Then she gets a flashback of all the harsh things she said to her mother. The Empress says she never should have had a child because they are selfish and all they are good for is robbing the peace and freedom from their parents. Wise is heartbroken and she tells the Empresses to stop and apologizes to her. However, the Empress has had enough and tells her that she is done with her. She attacks Wise with one of her summoned creatures. This knocks out Wise. Masato asks the Empress how she can call herself a mother after doing something like that to her child. The Empress tells him he is just like Wise and does not respect his parents. Masato admits that he is the same as Wise, but his mom has never said the things that she has said. Masato continues saying he knows he is selfish, but in his head, he never means the things he says to his mother, claiming that the words just come out on their own. He then asks the Empress to forgive her child because he knows she does not mean everything that she has said to her. Masato begs her to not abandon her child, like that would work. The Empress smirks and tells him reconciliation between the both of them is never going to be that easy. The Empress casts a spell that unleashes lightning on Masato. He defends himself using his holy sword. The Empress explains that it is a hammer of rage. She says a child is nothing more than a ball and chain, something that exists solely to take the parent's freedom away. The lightning brings Masato to his knees. He is almost about to be defeated. The Empress claims that this is going to be the end of him. Suddenly everything starts to rumble. Golden cracks emerge all around the white box. A huge wave of water breaks the room and floods their surroundings. A glowing Mamako emerges. She says she has never forgotten the moment she became a mother. She says that moment made her realize that she would sacrifice her life for him. She adds that the moment he first smiled and called her mother are moments that she could never forget. She asks the Empress how she could forget those moments and disregard the bond between a mother and her child so easily. Mamako could not understand how the Empress seeks to replace the connection between herself and Wise, as it is irreplaceable. She stops glowing as she admits the situation makes her feel angry and sad, but she believes that because the Empress is a mother, she will remember that connection. Mamako adds that for the sake of Wise, she will make the Empress remember that connection. However, the Empress sternly replies that she is grateful for the offer, but will pass on it. The Empress claims that she is the only one important inside this world, as she possesses the power to make everything go her way. Mamako then vows to destroy the strength that she is so proud of using the power of her bond with Masato. The Empress mocks her, saying she thinks she can do that. Mamako replies confidently that she can because she has a son that she is proud of. She asks Masato for reassurance. Masato stands up and stands by his mother's side. He apologizes to her for always being so selfish, and then he thanks her for being his mother. This makes Mamako tear up. The Empress comments that it looks like a scene from a bad family movie. Mamako swings her sword Terra de Madre, using her first attack. The Empress uses her shield to protect herself. However, the last of the 3 waves of laser beams unleashed by the Terra de Madre managed to infiltrate her shield and cut the Empress's face. The Empress is astounded by the attack. Mamako then uses both of her swords together. The Empress is forced to dodge her attacks, and she asks why Mamako receives so many attacks, and she calls her insane for using them like that. Masato, seeing the action unfold, cannot help but admire his mother's strength. The Empress then deploys a veil that she uses as defense magic. Porta arrives and throws Masato a golden ball for him to use. He tosses the ball over the Empress, and the ball opens up and seals the Empress's magic. Masato says her face looks exactly like her daughter's when her magic is sealed. Porta points out that the Empress cannot protect herself against magic sealing just like her daughter. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Mamako and Masato get ready to start attacking again when the Empress tells them to stop. She tells Mamako that she, being a mother, must understand what it feels like when a child takes over your life. Mamako tells her that the feelings she speaks of do exist within her. However, she tells the Empress that the feelings a parent experiences when dealing with a child are nothing short of a treasure that only exists in those moments. Mamako says that she would accept everything about her child without judgment. She says that nothing would ever make her abandon Masato. This infuriates the Empress, and she tells her to shut up and tells her what she is saying only exists in fantasy and does not hold up in the real world. She claims that kids are only obnoxious little brats with the sole purpose of ruining their parents' lives. Mr. Gruff tells him that she looks like a student to him. Masato tells Mamako to tell Mr. Gruff the truth. Mamako then introduces herself as Masato's mother. She says she snuck in to keep an eye on Masato. Mr. Gruffs allows her to stay in the class as an observer. Masato is glad his mother is not participating in the class as a student. Mamako sits next to Mamamedi, and they both introduce themselves to each other. Mamamedi apologizes in advance to Mamako as she believes her daughter will make Masato look very bad. Mamako smiles and says she is sure their kids will become good friends. Mamako wishes Masato good luck. This makes Medi giggle and Masato embarrassed. Mr. Gruffs moves on to the next question. Masato is having some trouble figuring out this one. Medi Mama tells Medi to take her time to think of an answer since everyone else is going to get sleepy. With that, she wields her staff. Masato sees her use her status effect, but strangely no one is getting sleepy. He sees his mom's elbows glowing. Porta explains to him that Mamako's armor blocks all bad status effects. Mr. Gruff tells him that Mamako is using mother's sharing to protect the students from Mamamedi. Masato brings his attention back to the question, but Mamako raises her hand before him. Masato tells her she cannot answer the question, but Mr. Gruff allows it. Masato voices his disagreement with Mamako's answer. However, Mr. Gruff accepts the answer. He awards her 30 points. Mr. Gruff then asks a question directly to Mamako. She replies correctly and is once again awarded 30 points. Mr. Gruff announces the grades at the end of the day, and Mamako beats Medi for the top spot. Medi Mama is not pleased with her daughter's performance. Masato is on his way to school. He tells his mom that he will meet her there. Masato thinks there is no way that he would go to school with his mother. Masato was keen to hold on to his last shred of dignity. On his way to school, Masato runs into Medi, who tells him that she wants to review yesterday's lesson, which is why she is going so early as well. Masato tells her that he is planning on doing the same. Masato shyly asks Medi if she wants to study together since they are both going to do the same thing. Medi smiles and agrees to his proposition. This makes Masato blush as he thinks to himself that Medi is the perfect heroine. A spike emerges from the ground underneath Masato and makes him fall. Masato cannot believe his luck as he sees Mamako running after him, telling him that she finally caught up with him. Wise and Porta are behind her. Suddenly, Medamama appears in front of Mamako. She is wearing a high school uniform as well. She tells Mamako that she will not allow her to hog the spotlight like yesterday, so she brought every type of outfit she could find. Mamako tells her she would look good in all of them. Medamama tells her that victory will be hers. Mamako does not know what victory she is referring to, so she tells her that they should do their best as observers of the classroom. Masato is not happy with the intervention of the mothers in his school life story. Midi mutters, cutting the victory crap. Masato hears it but fails to see who said it. Medimama tells Medi to follow her to school, and Medi follows her. In the classroom, Mr. Gruff announces that his pupils will be doing item creation today. He starts with a cooking class. Wise and Masato are not pleased with the topic. Mamako tells everyone to do their best, and Medimama tells Medi to be number one in the class. Wise, Masato, and Porta are sitting around a table filled with cooking ingredients. Wise is complaining that combat classes like herself and Masato cannot get any SP points in a class like this. Masato tells her not to worry as they have Porta on their side, who happens to be an expert at item creation. Porta starts to craft eggs inside a beaker. After she is done, she shows Masato hard-boiled eggs, telling him these are now easy to peel. Wise says it was to craft boiled eggs. She starts crafting hers, but ends up making something disgusting that stinks. It is Masato's turn, and he decides to skip chanting the cute spell because he thinks it would be awkward to say it. However, his crafting causes a small explosion. Masato says he cannot craft because he is a combat class hero. On the other side of the classroom, Mr. Gruff is congratulating Medi for having a 100% success rate even though she is in a combat class. Her table is filled with delicious food. This leaves Masato, Porta, and all the other pupils in the class in absolute awe of Medi. Mr. Gruff awards her 10 SP points. Masato is proud of his heroine for doing so well. Wise points Masato's head towards Medamama, who taps her staff, and it starts to glow. Wise explains that Medi's dishes may appear very appetizing, but she is likely making weird goop just like her, and Medamama is using her illusion magic to disguise it. Masato tells her not to make stuff just because she is not winning. Wise defends herself and tells him she knows what she is talking about. Masato pulls out a spoon and decides to investigate himself. He approaches Medi's table. He asks Medi if he can taste her food since it looks so delicious. She allows him to do so. Masato is excited to taste the heroine's home cooking, but as soon as he tastes the food, his face turns green and he starts to sweat profusely. Medi asks him if he does not like the food. Masato manages to tell her it is the best food he has ever had before walking away. Masato, a legendary hero and a legendary simp. Wise is happy because her theory turned out to be correct, and Masato passes out on the table. Medimama taps her staff on her head while saying that she will do whatever it takes to make sure that Medi is number one in her class. Masato opens his eyes to see his mother cooking. He asks her what she is doing, and Mamako replies that she is cooking. She pours Masato something on a plate and asks him to taste it. Masato is hesitant because he thinks the liquid is too hot. Mamako remembers that he cannot eat anything too hot, so she tells him that she will cool it down for him. Mamako starts to blow air on the plate to make it cooler. This embarrasses Masato, and he decides to taste it. Mr. Gruff notices the boost Masato receives on his item creation success rate and tells everyone so. Mr. Gruff says that it must be another special ability called Mother's Breath. Since Mamako blew on it twice, the boost is twice as strong. Wise says she will never let Masato live this moment down, but right now they need to focus on receiving more points. Wise and Porta surround Mamako and ask her for mother's breath. Mamako does the same for Wise and Porta, and they receive item creation success rate boosts as well. Wise, Porta, and Masato use their new abilities and start crafting new dishes. All three of them create delicious foods and are awarded 20 SP points by Mr. Gruff in return. Mamako hugs them as a reward. This embarrasses Masato. The entire class, including Medi, surrounds them and gives them a round of applause. Medi is about to congratulate them when Medamama puts her staff in front of Medi's mouth. Medamama tells her that she should not give anyone else compliments. Medi apologizes to her. Medamama is disgusted at the sight of Masato's party and group hug. Masato looks at Medi standing alone and sad. Masato, Wise, and Porta are sitting in the courtyard. In front of them is a huge pile of delicious foods. Masato wonders if they can all finish the food. Wise cannot get over the amount of calories it contains. Porta said she will do her best to finish all of it. Mamako arrives, and her hands are full of containers. She tells them she thought something like this may happen, so she borrowed some containers. Porta adds that food will not spoil if they put it in her bag. Wise is about to dig in when Shirase passes by them and introduces herself as the principal again. Mamako invites her to join them, but she declines, saying that she has something urgent to discuss with them. Shirase hugs Mamako. This catches the party members off guard. Shirase tells them she has a daughter as well, which means Mamako is in the embrace of another mother. She tells Mamako that she is finished taking her measurements. Masato asks her what the measurements are for, and Shirase ignores his question, just like your crush ignores you. She asks him to get a good meal before starting afternoon classes. The class is standing in the pool. Masato is heartbroken as he knows what is about to come. He thinks his mom is about to arrive soon, and she will most likely be in a swimsuit. Wise and Porta approach Masato and ask him what is bothering him. Midi kneels in front of him and softly asks him if everything is alright since he looks quite pale to her. Masato tells her he is completely fine and asks her not to worry about him. Midi leaves saying that everyone should do their best in this class. Masato looks at her melons as she is running off and says Wise could never do that. Wise kicks his legs, making him lose his balance and fall. Medamama is wearing a swimsuit that barely covers her up. She tells all the boys to look at her and see what a sexy grown-up looks like. Midi tells her she looks good. Masato thinks about how this is just a trailer for the horror that is about to come. Momako runs into the class wearing a white robe. She apologizes for being late. Masato imagines her wearing something truly horrific under that robe and prepares himself for the damage. She takes the robe to reveal her old school swimsuit. All the NPC boys of the class run towards her and welcome her. Wise comments on how good she looks, but Masato leaves, saying he is going on a journey where he won't have to look at his mother in a swimsuit. Masato is seen at the bottom of the pool shortly after. Medamama, on the other hand, is fuming because she lost to Mamako again. Masato is sitting poolside, and Mamako asks him if he is feeling alright when Masato hears Medi mutter that her wretched mother deserves what happened to her. Masato thinks Wise said it. He whispers to Wise that she should not call Medamama wretched as it is rude to Medi. Wise does not know what Masato is talking about. Meanwhile, Medamama tells Medi to be number 1 during this class. Mamako joins her and tells Masato to try his best. Mr. Gruff announces that it is time for the swimming class. He explains that the combat classes will have to defeat the monsters at the bottom of the pool, and the crafters will make items using their drops. He adds that combat classes and crafters need to work together to get good grades. Mr. Gruff starts the race, and all the pupils jump in. Masato wields his sword and asks Mr. Gruff if there are any flying enemies there. Mr. Gruff tells them there are only water monsters in that class since it is a swimming class. Wise tells him to sit on the sidelines and observe the action. Midi says she will go on ahead, and with that, she starts to swim forward. A water monster approaches Medi. She hits it with her staff and defeats it. Masato cannot believe she defeated an enemy with a physical attack instead of using magic. Medamama explains that Medi is a healer with enhanced physical damage, saying she has trained Medi herself to be good at both offense and defense. Masato notes that Medi is using an advanced playstyle. Masato jumps in the water as well. Mamako cheers him on, saying she is right there, and he should do his best in this class. A huge octopus heads towards Masato, and he uses his sword to slash it. The octopus's leg floats, and Porta collects it to use in her crafting. Porta starts to chant her spell and ends up creating a takoyaki party set from the octopus's leg. She says she can now make takoyaki, which cures bad status effects. Porta starts making takoyaki. Mamako asks if she could join Porta as it looks fun. and Wise adds that she is great at flipping them. Masato cannot believe that they are having a poolside takoyaki party. Masato asks Wise why she is not fighting monsters. Wise gets embarrassed because her magic gets sealed, and she decides to join the takoyaki party. Masato jumps back in the water. He glances over at Medi, who has a pile of defeated monsters next to her. Medi tells him she cannot lose this battle, so she does not plan on holding back. Masato tells her he likes that kind of hot-blooded battle mentality. Medi and Masato scout for monsters underwater together. Masato looks to find a monster that would give him a special bonus or something similar. A huge monster shows up in front of them, and Masato goes after it. Medi swims after it too, trying to beat Masato to it. Medimama yells at Medi to swim faster so she can be number 1. Masato is starting to struggle. Momoko shouts that Masato should not push himself to the limit since she does not care what place he gets as long as he does not get hurt. She adds that she knows Masato is always doing his best, and this makes him a gold medal winner to her. This motivates Masato to work harder. Medimama is furious because Masato and Medi are in tough competition. Medimama shouts that Medi could not lose to someone like Masato, and unless everyone regards her as the best, she is worthless. This makes Medi stop and float up for air. Masato stops as well, and they both come up for air. Medi's aura changes. She mutters that she wishes her mother would die since she only wants her to be number 1. A huge sea anemone appears out of the pool, which makes the monster Medi and Masato are chasing look like a dwarf. It uses its tentacles to attack Medi and Masato, however, they change their direction and make their way toward Momoko. Momoko is engulfed in the tentacles. Masato does not know why the monster is attacking his mother. The monster seems to have fallen in love with Momoko as it develops heart eyes while attacking Momoko. Momoko urges the sea anemone to stop as it wraps its tentacles all over Momoko's body. Momoko seems to be getting pleasured by it as one of its tentacles goes inside Momoko's swimsuit. Porta gets the holy sword Altura out of her bag and throws it to Momoko. Momoko says that any naughty monster that covers her in tentacle slime deserves to be punished. With that, Momoko uses her sword to slice the monster into small pieces, and its head gets thrown into the air. Masato does not miss this opportunity to use his attack. This combined effort defeats the monster. Mr. Gruff announces to the entire class that Masato receives the number 1 spot that day. He says that even though he does not defeat as many monsters as Medi, he wins because he defeats a rare monster which gives him extra points. Porta congratulates Masato on his win. Masato then picks her up and swirls her in the air, congratulating her on being the top crafter. Momoko hugs Masato and congratulates him on doing his best and securing the top spot in the class. Masato tells her to stop since he is embarrassed. Meanwhile, Medimama slaps Medi on her face for coming in second instead of number 1. She tells Medi that she should be ashamed of her performance. Medi defends herself by saying she tries herself, but Masato is stronger than her. Medimama replies to her sternly and says excuses are disgraceful. Medimama tells her that she is sick of her behavior and that they are going to do extra training after school for Medi's sake. Masato tries to console Medi, but she runs away. He goes after her, but Momoko follows him too. Masato tells his mom that she does not have to come along, but says she is worried about her too. Momoko tells Masato that Medi has been acting weird for some time now. As they are talking, they hear a loud thudding sound. Masato and Momoko peek around the corner to see Medi kicking a wall, exclaiming how she wants to kill her mother. Masato admits that he sees this coming, but he chooses to ignore it so he can keep the fantasy going a little longer. The party members are at an inn. Momoko proposes that they have a strategy meeting where everyone is naked. Wise is not too keen on the idea. The party members are sitting in a hot tub, and Momoko asks Masato to give them the topic of the meeting. Masato wants to talk about Medi and her mother. Wise stands up and covers her chest with her arms and asks Masato why he is so obsessed with her in the first place. Masato agrees that they do have other tasks to complete, and they are not explicitly instructed by Shirase to involve themselves in the issue. Therefore, they should not get involved. However, Masato says that he can sympathize with Medi as he knows how it feels to have problems with your mother and not know how to solve them. He tells the party that it feels personal to him, and that is why he wants to help. He asks for his party's help in doing so. Momoko agrees instantly. Wise comments on how Masato likes playing the hero and wants to save his helpless heroine. Masato looks at Porta, who has started to get drowsy. Momoko and Wise get worried. They immediately rush to help her and take her away since she has been in the bath too long. As the girls walk away, Masato looks at their backs, wondering why he does not get any punishment this time. It is the school festival day and Masato is very excited. His happiness is cut short as he asks Mr. Gruff why they are having a school festival without any prior notice. Mr. Gruff tells them that it would completely lose its value if he had told them about it in advance, since it is an activity designed to see how well the pupils handle a surprise event. Mr. Gruff tells them that this is a pop quiz, which is very important for the game. The word quiz catches Medimama's attention. Mr. Gruff continues that they can do anything they want at the festival, and that the parents are also allowed to participate. Mr. Gruff tells them to form groups and start working, then he leaves. Masato is not happy about his mother participating in the school festival. Wise tells him that it is his fate, so it is easier if he just accepts it. Mamiko runs over to Masato and asks if they can do a small cafe for the school festival. She adds that she can cook something delicious. Wise and Porta like the idea and decide to partake with her. Medimama overhears Mamiko and announces that she will also be doing a cafe and they will compete to see who has more sales. Mamako is slightly confused about Medimama's behavior. Masato looks over at Medi, who seems to be staring at something on the ground intensely. Masato is carrying the supplies for the cafe. He is amazed at the preparations everyone is making for the festival when he spots Mamako standing with a student in the courtyard. The student has a bouquet of roses. He asks Mamako to be his girlfriend. Mamako tells him that she appreciates him feeling that way, but she cannot be his girlfriend since she is Masato's mother. This breaks the student's heart and he runs off crying. Midi appears behind Masato. She tells him that Mamako is quite popular in the school and she had quite a lot of love letters in her shoe cupboard. Masato jokes saying he is not a Dark Lord with a Mon complex, so he does not plan on challenging any of them to a duel. Midi gets the reference. She then apologizes to him because her Mon has challenged them to a competition. Masato tells her she does not need to apologize. Midi explains her mother's strong desire to make Medi number one. She says that it is this desire that makes her act weirdly. She asks Masato to put up with Medimama's behavior for just a little bit longer. Masato asks her if she is okay with the way things are currently. Medi replies that she doesn't like to cause problems for the people around her. Masato is about to say something, but his sentence is interrupted by the school's radio transmission, stating that it is time for the first annual Lover's Lane Academia School Festival to start. There is an enormous queue of customers in front of Mamako's cafe called Mother's Back. Mamako is cooking behind the counter. She asks the pupils to wait just a little more. Porta, Wise, and Masato are the servers. Porta comments on how many customers they have attracted, and Masato adds that they have been acting strangely as well. Masato and Porta are starting to get overwhelmed by the amount of orders they are receiving. Masato asks them to slow down since they cannot prepare all those meals at once. Mamako tells Masato not to worry since hungry children are waiting for her. She will do her best. All the customers fall in love with Mamako and ask to help her with the cafe. Right across from them is Medi's cafe. A frustrated Medimama is standing inside wondering why Mamako's cafe is getting so much more foot traffic than her cafe. She asks Medi to change into a swimsuit. Medi asks why she has to do something like that. Medimama explains to her that they will use the sight of her in a swimsuit to lure in more customers. With that, she takes off Medi's clothes. Masato, who enters the cafe, witnesses the entire scene. Medi tries to cover herself up with her hands. Medimama asks what Masato is doing in their cafe. He replies that he is only there to check if Medi is enjoying the festival. Medimama asks Masato if he has any comments about Medi's naked body. Medimama is not one to beat around the bush. Masato replies that he is prepared for whatever comes next. Medimama tells him to be ready for his punishment. She then casts an instant death spell on him using her magic staff. A Reaper appears and kills Masato. Masato gets a notification that multiple instant death attacks have caused him to level up from dead form to floating form. Who knew getting killed enough times would make you stronger? Masato's soul is floating above his coffin as he realizes that he can move freely without anyone noticing. Medimama is astounded by the power of her staff. She says even though she does not know who sent it, it is quite powerful. Medi urges Medimama to revive Masato. Medimama says that she will do that later, and first she will use her staff to bring out more of Medi's beauty. She instructs Medi to seduce Masato and then use him to ruin Mamako's cafe to secure their victory. Medi protests that it is not fair, however, Medimama ignores her. Medimama then uses her staff to cast a spell on Medi and her staff, telling her to win no matter what. Masato comes out of the cafe wondering what is wrong with her. Wise revives him. The line in front of Mamako's cafe is as long as ever. Wise, Porta, and Masato observe from the sidelines. Wise says she is bored. Porta tells her it is because all the customers are doing all the work, so they have nothing to do. Medi comes running towards Masato and throws herself at him. She asks Masato to come see all the other places in the festival with her. She presses herself against Masato and says that it will just be the two of them, so it will be much more fun. Wise notes that Medi is not usually like this. Medi grabs Masato's hand and makes him go with her. Medi and Masato are walking in the corridors. Medi has her head on Masato's shoulder as she tells him she always wants to tour a school festival alongside her boyfriend like this. She blushes and says that she accidentally said her boyfriend. Masato can see right through her act and is not pleased. Medi flirtatiously says that if Masato is with her when her dreams come true, it means they are destined to be together. She asks Masato if that's going too far. Masato tells her that it is. Masato pulls away from her and tells her that he knows what she is trying to do. He explains to her that he is there when Medimama instructs her to seduce him so she can sabotage his cafe. Medi is disappointed in herself. She tells him that she feels like an idiot. After saying that, Medi starts to glow purple. She starts to mutter again and says she doesn't even want to do this, and that her mother is manipulating her using her staff. Masato tells her to stop since she is unleashing the dark powers inside of her. Suddenly, Medimama appears behind Medi and she snaps back to normal. Medimama inquires if she has managed to get close to Masato. Medi tells her that she has. Medimama, pleased with the answer, decides to leave. Masato asks Medimama to stop what she is doing. Medimama acts oblivious. Masato tells her that she needs to stop the competition, forcing Medi to do things she does not want to do. Medimama tells him that she cannot quit the competition before it is over. Masato reminds her of the sheer difference in customers of their cafe and tells her that it is over already. This infuriates Medimama and she says that they will compete over something else. She rips a poster from the wall and challenges Masato to a beauty contest between the most attractive waitresses from the cafes, an event you should never think to participate in. It is time for the beauty contest, which is the main event of the school festival. There is a cheer meter on stage which will decide how much everyone is cheering for each of the contestants. Whoever gets the most cheers will win the competition. Medi is the first competitor. She comes forward and is about to introduce herself to the audience. However, she hits her head on the microphone and her face turns red with embarrassment. The audience finds this cute and starts to cheer for her. This gets her a score of 90 on the cheer meter. After several students from the school, it is Wise's turn. Wise is confident that she is going to win. Masato thinks she is going to flop and wonders why she is smiling so confidently. Porta cheers her on as well. Wise then hits her head on the microphone in a similar fashion and apologizes. To her dismay, the only reaction she gets is from Porta, who is cheering her on relentlessly. Wise ends up with a score of 2. Wise gets angry, and she starts to scold the audience. She shouts at them for not showing any joy at her performance. The host comments on how Wise spoiled everyone's mood and how it is time for the final result. However, he makes a last-minute call for anyone wishing to take part in the beauty contest from the audience. Mamako decides to take part and walk up on stage. Mamako walks up to Wise on stage and asks her to use her fire magic to heat the miso soup since there are not enough burners in the cafe. Mamako thinks that it would be a good opportunity to advertise her cafe. She walks up to the microphone and announces that the miso is ready for everyone to try. However, it is too hot, so she blows on it to make it cooler. The audience is electrified at the thought of a girl who can also cook. The cheer meter gives her a score of 999. The host announces that they have their winner. Mamako does not seem to know what is at stake as she stands on the stage. Medimama is seething at the results of the beauty contest, falling prey to the superficial expectations of pubescent high school NPCs. As Medi is walking down the stage, Masato grabs her hand and takes her with him to talk. Wise and Porta follow his lead. Masato takes them to the courtyard. Medi is panting because of running alongside Masato as she asks him why he brought her there. Masato replies that it is his instincts telling him to get out of there right now. Wise says it is most likely because Medimama is about to go raving mad at her daughter again. Wise asks Medi how long she is going to continue being her mother's slave. Wise tells her that she would never do what Medi is doing since she has a will of her own. Medi replies that she also has a will of her own. Wise asks her to say what she wants to do right now. Medi is hesitant to answer. Wise tells her that it is okay since they are the only ones there, she could speak her mind. Midi tells her that she wants to enjoy the present moment and work alongside her friends in a cafe. Midi says that she does not have any friends to have those experiences with. Masato, Wise, and Porta tell her that they are all her friends. Masato says that if she tells him what she wants to do, he will enjoy the school festival with her. Midi has tears well up in her eyes as she asks why they are so nice to her, since her mom has caused them so many problems. Masato and Wise tell her they have problems with their mothers as well, so they can relate to her situation. Porta says that she is the youngest, so she is not sure if she can be friends, but she would like to be. Midi starts wailing that she wants to have a lot of fun with her friends instead of only doing what her mom wants. She then starts to laugh with Masato, Wise, and Porta. Medamama appears and pins Medi to a tree. She has her hand on Medi's throat. Medamama is fuming as she asks Medi what she is doing there with them. Medi tells her that Masato and his friends were kind to her and she wishes to be their friend. Medamama lets her go and shouts at her, saying that friends do not matter and the only thing that matters is being number one. She is about to strike Medi with her staff when Mamako arrives and stops her attack using her Terra de Madre and Altura. Medamama asks her why she has the worst timing. Mamako tells her that she understands that it makes a mother very happy to see her child become number one, but it does not give her the right to push her child to its limits. Mamako asks Medamama if there is a reason Medi has to suffer to become number one. Medamama replies that there is a reason for Medi to become number one. She believes that if her child is number one, then she can go around telling people that she is the number one mom. After saying that, Medamama retreats backwards. Masato realizes that Medamama has been doing all of this for herself all this time. Surprise, surprise. Medi has a dark aura around her. She tells her mother that she has had enough and has endured her for far too long. She admits that everything her mother has made her do only made her sad and hurt. Nonetheless, she believes that Medamama is doing all that for her. Medi says that it is the only reason she keeps doing all of it. Medi's eyes change color as she finally realizes that Medamama has been doing it just to tell people that she is the best mom all along. She feels betrayed. A dark aura engulfs Medi as she unleashes everything she has from her staff of Conforto. Medi transforms into a huge monster. She says that she will not forgive anyone. Medi has transformed into a monster that looks like a dragon. She is spewing flames from her mouth and destroying everything around her. She says that she will make everyone and everything pay. Wise, Masato, and Porta are hiding. Wise asks Masato what they should do in that situation. Medamama is unfazed by Medi's rampage. She walks up to her and says that girls who do not listen to their mothers end up becoming quite ugly. Did you also now listen to your mother? Medamama continues to berate her appearance and calls her disgusting. This infuriates Medi, who launches a powerful attack on Medamama, causing two huge tornadoes to appear. Masato comments that Medi and her mother are such a pain in the butt. Medamama hears this remark and says to Masato that Medi and she have always been number one until they come along and ruin everything for them. She pulls out her staff and attacks Masato with it. However, before it makes contact, Mamako stops it with her sword. Mamako calmly asks Masato to take his friends and deal with Medi. Wise says that she will wallop Medi's hand and bring her to her senses, and Porta says that she will craft items to help them. The three of them run towards Medi. Mamako asks Medamama to sit and talk. Medamama tells her that she is always in the way and the only way to settle this is through a duel to determine who is the number one mom. Medamama uses her staff of Aperto to create huge golems from the ground around her. Medamama is pleased with her performance. Mamako does not seem to realize the danger she is in as she asks the golems to be calm for a moment as she intends to converse with Medamama. Her holy sword, Terra de Madre, starts to glow as she makes this request, and the golems oblige. They proceed to disassemble into rocks and fall to the ground. This shocks Medamama. She starts to sweat profusely as she asks Mamako what just happened. She asks her why her golems take orders from Mamako. Mamako tells her that she does not order them, she only asks. She asks Medamama if it is difficult to draw the line between the two. Mamako admits that she always finds it difficult to differentiate between them. Mamako tells her that when Masato was younger she was worried that she was forcing him to do the things she wanted whenever she asked him to do something. Mamako adds that it worries her for days. Medamama is unfazed as she replies that she should just do what she thinks because a parent can raise a child any way they like, and then give them money issues for the rest of their lives. Mamako puts her swords back in their sheaths as she agrees with Medamama, but says that there is one thing a parent could never get wrong. Meanwhile, Wise has her book of spells in her hand, and she starts to cast a spell. Medi sees her, and she starts to cast a spell of her own called Miserpent, which causes Wise's MP to drop to 0. Medi then uses her tail to attack Wise. Masato jumps in and defends Wise using his shield. He tells Wise to back up. Masato comments on how Medi is a dark heroine since her dark-based attacks are really powerful. Wise states that she doesn't know how to deal with a healer who possesses dark attacks. Masato tells her to restore her MP first and then think of a counter strategy. Wise asks Porta for an MP potion, and Porta presents an entire bundle of them so she can restore her MP to its maximum capacity. Wise, however, is having trouble drinking all of the potions Porta has given her. Masato is facing Medi. He is standing behind his shield to protect himself against Medi's fire attacks. He tells her that he can understand her pain. Medi replies that how could, since his mom is so sweet and wonderful. Masato tells her that she is not, as it is bad enough that she followed him into this video game world. She wore sailor uniforms and swimsuits and then won a beauty contest. He tells her that he has seen things on this journey that he wishes he never saw. On the other side of the battlefield, Momenko starts to glow as she tells Med and Mama that as parents their responsibility is to make sure their children become wonderful adults, and raising them for their own sake is selfish. Wise, who is trying to get through the MP potions, notices the bright light. She looks over to see it coming from Mamako, who starts to float in the air. Porta thinks that it is Mother's light, but she realizes it is a higher ranking skill called Mother's Words that is unlocked when a mother wants to share something. The feelings of mothers from all around the world gather inside her and give her the power to spread her words. Masato uses this as an example to show Medi that Mamako is overpowered in any situation, which leaves him with nothing to do. He says to her that even though his mom is not perfect, he understands that throwing a tantrum like a kid will not solve anything and it will only make things worse. Mamako tells Med and Mama that the words and feelings they give their children are all for the sake of their growth. Med and Mama agrees with Mamako and then reflects on what she had said earlier about doing it for her own sake. The gemstone on her staff starts to crack as she thinks this. Mamako stops glowing and descends to the ground. She tells Med and Mama to calm down since she is under the influence of something bad. Mamako says that as a mother she must be able to put her child over everything else. This makes Medi Mama realize the love she has for Medi. She asks what happened to her daughter. She looks at Medi, who is going berserk and spewing fire at Masato. Medi Mama runs towards Medi. In times of desperation, just run towards the crazy fire-breathing dragon. Get it, Medi Mama. Masato tells Medi that she needs to tell Medi Mama what she wants in her own words. He admits that even though he has not been able to do that yet, he thinks that is how it works. Medi uses her tail to attack Masato, shattering his shield and slamming him into a nearby tree. Wise and Porta run to Masato's aid. Medi is about to breathe fire on all of them when Medi Mama appears in front of them. Medi Mama tells all the party members to take cover since she cannot let the children of another family be burnt because of her. Mamako says that she is the one that deserves to be hit. Medi slams her with her tail and screams that it is too late for her to pretend to be her mother now. Medi Mama gets back on her feet. Medi towers over her and repeats that she would never forgive her. Medi Mama opens her hand and accepts her fate. She tells Medi that it is okay for her to not forgive her because she has just started to pretend to be a real mom after all that time. She tells Medi that even though she had those feelings inside her heart all this time, Medi still overpowered those feelings and did exactly what her mother told her. Medi Mama uses the age-old talk no jutsu to de-escalate the situation. Masato is observing all of this from the sidelines. He can feel that Medi Mama cares about her daughter in these moments. Medi lifts her tail to attack Medi Mama again, but before she can touch her mother, Masato intervenes and blocks her attack using his shield. Medi Mama asks Masato why he is saving her since she has asked him to stay back. Masato replies that she is the only one who could solve the situation, but first, he needs to deal with Medi. Medi Mama asks Masato what his plan is. Masato asks her to believe in the power of a hero who saves the bonds of family. Masato shouts to ask if Wise is ready. Wise tells him that she is all set as she finishes her last MP potion. Wise tells Porta to get back. Wise casts a spell called Bombavento which causes strong winds to engulf Medi. Wise then uses the spell again, causing even stronger winds to lift Medi in the air. She tells Masato that now she is in the air and he should finish her. Masato lifts his sword to attack her, but Medi lifts her mother's broken staff in the air using magic. The staff flashes, and then huge rocks from the ground start to form a shell around Medi. Masato, sensing what is happening, realizes that he cannot let Medi finish her shell. He uses his attack, but it is of no use against Medi's defenses. Momoko appears and uses her 2-hit multi-target attacks to destroy the shell Medi had created. Her attacks start to destroy huge patches of the shell that Medi had created. Masato sighs and says that even though his mother causes him so much trouble, she is there when he needs her. Mama is worried about her daughter's fate. Masato calls her and says that the person who cares about her the most is waiting for her, as he points toward her mother. Momoko tells her to go up to her to tell her. Masato jumps in the air and uses his attack, which slashes the gem on Mama's staff, destroying it. Soon after, the dragon monster dissipates into the air and Medi plummets to the ground. Mama catches her before she crashes. Mama apologizes to her as she holds her in her arms. Medi tells her that she cannot forgive her even after she says that. Medi then starts to cry. Masato's party and Mama and Medi are sitting under a tree. Medi is resting her head on her mother's shoulder. Mama is telling everyone how she wonders if she will be a good mom when she gives birth to Medi. She continues saying she thinks every day what it means to be a good mom. Mama says she decides to raise Medi like a good girl and makes her do everything she wants to give her a good mindset. Masato tells her that she goes a little overboard with that. Mama admits her mistake and realizes that she puts a lot of stress on Medi. She says that she does not know what to do in her situation, and when she finds this game, she enters it in the hopes of fixing her relationship with Medi. Mama starts to cry as she asks them why she says that she is doing everything for herself. Masato reassures her that it is not her who is saying those things. Her staff is responsible for bringing out the hidden urges in people. Masato explains that she is under its influence and her desire to be a good mom is extraordinarily heightened. He tells her that everything she is doing is not for herself, but for Medi. Medi then turns to her mother and says that she understands that every time she is harsh on her is for her own sake. She tells her that she is glad that her mother feels that way about her. Medi hugs her mother and asks if her mother could care about her feelings and her will as much as Medi cares about hers, because if she could, it would bring a lot of joy to Medi. Mama promises to change her actions. She asks Medi to keep being her daughter, and Medi agrees. Everyone has graduated, and the students and their mothers are at the graduation party. There is a table filled with food. Porta tells Momoko that all the dishes she makes are delicious. Momoko says that she makes a lot of food to celebrate them passing their classes. Momoko looks over and sees Mama and Medi laughing together. She smiles at this sight. Masato approaches them and asks if they would like to join their party. He points at the rest of the members and says that everyone would love to have them around. Masato tells them that they are an unorthodox party and they do not have an appointed healer. He adds that he is not only looking to recruit them because of their magic skills, but also because going on an adventure with them seems like a fun idea. Mama tells him that she appreciates the offer, but she cannot join the party since she is planning on logging out after this quest. She says she needs to go back to the real world and delete her dark legacy, a blog that she has written on raising children. Mama says that she would never want anyone to follow what she has said and have them end up like herself and Medi. She says that even though she cannot accept his offer, she can't decide on Medi's behalf. Mama turns to Medi and asks her what she wants to do. She tells her she has complete freedom to do whatever she pleases. Medi thinks about it for a second and then says that she does want to go to Masato's party. Masato tells her that even though she missed out on being his heroine, she can be one of his party members. Medi says it is not fair. She promises to work hard to become Masato's heroine. She runs up to him and pushes his arm into her chest. She asks him whether stuff like this would make her his heroine. Masato's face turns red, and he tells her to please stop. Medi teases and asks him to fall for her already. Wise states that Medi has ill intentions and is scum. Medi tells Wise that calling someone scum is very mean. Masato asks if Medi can stay in the game by herself since parents and children are supposed to participate together. Shirase appears and informs everyone that Wise's case established a precedent that allowed children to stay in the game even after their parents left. Shirase then awards everyone their bonuses. Masato says that even though they came to the school to get these, he had forgotten all about them. Shirase then tells them that under normal circumstances, 1 SP point gets you 1 spin, but because this is a special event, they will get 11 spins for 10 SP points. Wise asks if she will get 110 spins if she gives 100 SP points. Masato asks why they cannot just trade the points for the items. Shirase reveals to him that it is a gacha game, and this leaves Masato disappointed. Shirase informs that due to a special bonus, they are 3 times more likely to get the Prevenire, Stem of Power, and Stuffed Animal compared to normal circumstances. The party members are fired up and start spinning. Masato, who belongs to the hero class and has a lot of HP, only wins consumable items that slightly boost his HP. Wise, who is a sage and has vast amounts of MP, gets consumable items that slightly boost her MP. Porta, who is a crafter, gets her stuffed animal. Momoko is happy for Porta. She says that Masato and Wise also got a lot of stuff. Shirase announces that both of them honestly got screwed on this one. Masato and Wise fall on their knees crying. Wise asks Medi to have a spin as well. She tells them she would rather use her SP points to boost her stats. Shirase announces that the time for rewards has come to an end, but because they fought so hard in order to defend the bond between a mother and her child, she will allow them to have one more spin. Masato spins it and a golden ball appears. It goes to Momoko and becomes an apron that only mothers can equip. Shirase exclaims that it is a miracle that a mother got an item from a gacha that is for children. Momoko wears the apron and tells Masato that she will treasure it forever. Momoko is answering an in-game questionnaire that inquires if Momoko is getting more chances to interact with her son or daughter. Momoko answers that little by little she is getting closer to her son. The next question asks what her son or daughter does that makes her happy. Momoko answers that her son tells her that she is the best. Masato is observing her with the rest of the party. He is bored of the situation. Masato says he does not remember saying that to her. Wise tells him that she has told her how he feels when he is not present. Masato is not pleased and says he will have her arrested on the count of perjury. However, he needs to teach his mom how to type in non-capital letters first, Masato adds. Porta gets everyone's attention to a horde of monsters that are approaching them. Masato realizes this is his opportunity to shine and seize the day since his mother is filling out the survey. He tells everyone to work together. Before Masato can deal the first blow, Momoko spots the monsters and showers them with her 2-hit multi-target attacks. The horde of monsters gets obliterated. Momoko takes a sigh of relief. Midi asks if all fights in the party are dealt with similarly. Wise and Masato tell her that Masato's mom always kills everything with her first attack. Midi excuses herself for a moment and starts to kick a rock not too far away from the party in frustration. Her plan of becoming the beloved party healer is ruined since no one takes any damage. Wise and Masato are looking at her while she is doing this. Wise tells her they can see her dark powers coming out from over there. Masato tells Wise that he can understand how Medi is feeling and they need to find a way to get stronger than any foe and even his mom. As he finishes his sentence, a flyer appears in front of him attached to a fishing line. Masato grabs it and it says that a new dungeon tower is open and anyone who completes it can wish for anything they want, and it will be granted. Masato thinks it is a scam. The party arrives at the dungeon tower. Masato came even though he knows it is a scam. Wise tells them that it says if they walk across the pier in the port city of Omnim, they will see the tower. They all follow the instructions and find the tower. Everyone is shocked at the size of it. Porta says she can't even see the top. Momoko hopes that it has an elevator. Masato tells her that it would not be much of a dungeon if it had an elevator. The party is then surrounded by a mob of locals. They recognize them as adventurers and start asking them to do tasks for them. One woman asks Masato if he can help look for her kid as she has not found him ever since he left the inn. Another woman says her kid ran off after she proposed they conquer the dungeon together. Another mother registers the same complaint. The party members start to see a pattern here and ask what exactly is going on. Medi says she does not understand anything about what is going on. Masato says that he needs to ask Shirase what is going on at times like this. He points to Shirase's coffin placed behind the mob of locals. Shirase and your grandma are neck to neck in the feeble competition. The party carries her coffin to an empty alleyway. Wise starts to chant her revival spell, but Medi pushes her away and uses her reanimation spell to bring Shirase back to life. Wise is not pleased as she shouts this is her only chance of doing something. Medi tells her that since she is the healer, she feels that it is her job. Shirase gets up from her coffin and jokes about being the record holder for most deaths. Momoko says good morning to her. Masato cannot believe she died again because of a bug. Shirase tells him that in this instance, she is saved because of a bug. She mentions to them that the mothers had to come to her initially, but since she is a GM and not a player, she cannot complete an event that is designed for players. Masato asks if her solution to the problem is dying. Shirase adds that it is strange since she is not aware that an event like this is added to the game and decides that they need to investigate further into the matter. The party along with Shirase make their way to the tower dungeon. As they reach, Wise motivates everyone to clear it quickly. Shirase asks them to help her with the investigation, and they would not have to go farther than the lower floors. Masato is determined to go to the top so that he can have his wish granted and show the world that he is stronger than his mom. Wise interrupts Masato's daydreaming and she tells him to listen to her. She reveals to everyone that she is a super sage with the ability to see just a little bit into the future. Midi says she cannot believe such a powerful ability was given to a failure like her. Masato tells everyone that she is making this up. Wise then reveals Masato's future. She says that they are going to infiltrate the tower dungeon and face various monsters. Momoko will then use her 2-hit multi-target attacks to defeat everyone. When they reach the top and Masato is about to make his wish, Momoko says something like she is out of eggs for tomorrow's breakfast and her wish would be granted instead of Masato's. Masato asks Wise not to scare him like that. Momoko asks Masato not to worry since she is smart enough to only ask for fresh eggs. Masato scolds her, saying it is not the eggs he is worried about. He tells Momoko to keep her mouth shut when they get inside the dungeon. Wise cannot wait for her prophecy to come true. Another prophecy is that you will stay lonely forever, the more you know. Shirase tells the party that the tower is named the Solo Killing Tower as they make their way inside the dungeon tower. Masato deduces that it means the tower is deadly for solo players and the only way to clear it would be with the help of a large party. Shirase tells them he is right and that they will require the help of other test players and NPCs to clear it. As Shirase finishes her sentence, they run into a group of huge spider monsters hanging ahead of them. Porta hides behind Wise. Wise asks her not to worry since Momoko will defeat them quickly. Momoko reveals that she cannot kill them. Masato thinks it is his mom who finally realizes that her son is the star of this adventure. However, Momoko corrects him, saying that it is not a good omen to kill spiders in the morning. Masato is dumbfounded by Momoko's answer. Wise asks her why it is a bad omen. Midi answers, saying it brings bad luck to kill spiders in the morning, but she does not think it applies to monsters. Momoko starts to play with them and says that the spiders are actually quite cute. Masato cannot believe that his mother is now friends with the spiders. She swings the spiders and tells Masato that he used to love the swings too when he was a kid. They make their way into a large hall and Masato steps on a tile that starts to glow. Masato receives an HP boost, however he has not lost any HP at all, so it is pretty much useless. Masato recognizes what happened from his previous video game experience and asks Porta to step on a nearby tile that has a key design on it. Porta complies and jumps on the tile. She receives an exit key. Porta tells everyone that it can be used to exit the dungeon tower anytime they want. Wise steps on a tile that has a book design on it thinking it will give her a magic boost. Excited, she steps on it 3 times, but is soon engulfed in purple ceiling magic. Shirase explains that she stepped on a magic ceiling tile and each step increases the duration of the ceiling. Midi says that she can take over for Wise and then revels at the opportunity to shine as the only caster in the party. Shirase informs Wise that there are traps in the dungeon which dispel the negative status effects, so she does not need to worry. Medi makes a touch sound which annoys Wise, who asks Medi not to make that sound with that pretty face of hers. Momoko spots a tile with a strange design on it and asks Shirase what this one is for. Shirase says that it would be best if she steps on it to find out. Masato tells her to be patient and ask what it does before stepping on it. Shirase reassures her that the tile gives her something that will help her clear the dungeon. Additionally, Shirase tells her that it is an item that she will personally appreciate. Masato thinks something fishy is going on. Momoko is convinced and she jumps on the tile. The tile starts to blow wind upwards. Momoko tries to keep her skirt down as she is flown upwards into the next level. Shirase explains to everyone that the wind allows the players to jump to the next level. The rest of the members follow Momoko's lead and fly to the next level. Masato is sitting disappointed on the floor. He mutters that he wants it all to stop. Shirase puts her hand on his shoulder and tells him that he will understand one day how wonderful pantyhose are. Masato gets flustered as he shouts that he was not thinking about that. Human voices are heard by the party. The voices say they are surprised that there are people who are still trying to climb the tower. Amon steps to the top of the staircase. She tells them that judging by the size of their party, however, she misses the next step and starts to fall down the stairs. Masato asks her if she is alright. She says that she is, and she did not trip. Masato asks her who she is. She says her identity does not matter. She introduces herself as one of the 4 fiends of the rebel group called Rebel, known as Amante, the betrayer of mothers. She adds that there is no rule that she has to say that to everyone that she encounters. Wise and Masato tell her that she just did. Midi asks if she could tell a little bit more. Amante says that she is not going to tell them that there is a rebel group called Rebel, formed of a group of kids that have rebelled against their mothers. Masato and Wise are amused and they tell her she just told them. Amante tells them that every adventurer in the village has joined her group. She spots Masato and gasps. Mamako introduces herself as Masato's mother. Masato says this is the worst time to introduce herself like that. Amante asks if she is the real Mamako Osuki before running off. Masato asks her what happened. Amante says she is scared of Mamako Osuki, but she will not tell him that. As she runs away, she thinks that they cannot clear the tower with such a small party, but she needs to come up with a plan to set them up for failure just in case. The stairs then slide inwards, creating a slope, which makes Amante fall back to the bottom of the stairs. Party members of Rebel rescue Amante, and she announces that they will clear the dungeon tower before them as she is carried away by her party members. Shirase says they have acquired important intel, and now it is time to make their way back outside. She asks Porta to use her exit key to allow them to leave the dungeon tower. Everyone leaves, and Shirase tells them outside that the situation was not anticipated and what they had witnessed inside was not an event intended for the game, but instead a serious problem that needed to be addressed quickly. The missing children from earlier had left their mothers and joined the rebel group they encountered inside the tower. Shirase had recognized most of their faces from the player databases. The one that was leading them was one of the 4 fiends, Amante, the betrayer of mothers. Shirase tells them that the creators of the game had known that someone was trying to cause problems between families, but now they can pin it all back to the rebel group Rebel and Amante. Wise and Masato conclude that all of the kids gathered there were rebelling against their mothers for the dungeon, and all of them were just sitting there complaining about their mothers. The kids would still be classed as more productive than you. Midi adds that they are sitting there in hopes of getting their wish granted. Masato is convinced that the wish is going to be something very evil since the bad guys are wishing for it. Masato decides to do something about it and rise against evil. Mamako wishes the kids would go back to their mothers. Masato asks why it is not about defeating them and saving the world. Mamako answers that as a mother she would be more worried about her child than the fate of the world. Wise tells him that they must focus on getting the backs because without enough people, they will not be able to beat the dungeon. Everyone in the party agrees. Wise does not know how they will make it to the floor they are on without more people to join their party. Shirase advises them to make a guild and recruit members. Shirase leads them to an empty and broken building and asks them to use this as their guild. Mamako names the guild Mommy Guild and is excited to tell Masato that she has finally learned to type with small letters. Masato is annoyed. Mamako wakes Masato up the next morning with a kiss and Masato glows and wakes up instantly. This is Mamako's special skill, Mothers Wake Up. After breakfast, Masato comments on how bad the condition of the guild is, wondering if anyone will join it. Shirase reveals that she has given a present to everyone so they can make the guild a fun place. She then takes her leave. The girls wear maid outfits and are excited to show them off. Midi asks what Masato has received, and he tells her that he received the same thing as them and pulls out a female maid's outfit. Mamako shows up in her normal clothes as the girls find out that Masato has forbidden her from wearing a maid outfit. For obvious reasons, Porta, Medi, and Masato go shopping to buy things for the guild. Wise and Mamako are clearing the house. Wise asks Mamako if she has to deep clean Masato's room since he will not be using it for long. Mamako tells her that he has been using it recently, so she has to clean it so he will feel at home. She adds that even though he may be displeased with the fact that she cleaned it without his permission, she wants to keep it clean so she can say, "Welcome home" to him. The bell rings and Mamako answers the door, however, she is shocked to see who is standing across from her. In the shopping center, Masato, Medi, and Porta run into Amante. Midi tells her that her bruises will never heal right and she will never feel confident in her body again. This makes Amante cry. Amante says she is not going to tell them that she sent an assassin to their base. Masato's party members are unfazed by this revelation as Mamako is at home. Wise teleports to Medi Porta, and Masato asking them to make their way back to the guild immediately as Mamako is about to lose. Medi, Wise, Porta, and Masato rush to save Mamako. Masato runs toward the abandoned house, convinced his mom is strong and can't lose, but he's still worried about something happening to her. As he reaches the door and opens it, all four of them witness Mamako sitting across from a suspicious salesman who is trying to sell her a round crystal ball. He tells Mamako that she'll have all kinds of visitors if she has this crystal ball and assures her that her guild is sure to be a big success because of it. He mentions they have a special sale ending today. Mamako ponders what to do in this situation as her boomer brain is enticed by the promises for her guild and her son. Masato stands at the door, disturbed by the fact that his mother is about to lose to a door-to-door salesman. The salesman continues explaining to Mamako how amazing the crystal is, promising that every member of her guild will gain 2-hit multi-target attacks, which will make her son very happy. Convinced, Mamako tells the salesman she'll pay any price for it. Wise expresses concern, noting how close he's come to convincing her. Midi adds that if the salesman brings up Masato's name, it's an easy win against her, as she would do anything to make her son happy. Hearing this, Masato whispers a plea for a break. He interrupts the interaction between the salesman and his mother, telling the man they don't talk to salesmen. Turning to his mother, he advises her not to let a shady guy like this fool her and insists the crystal ball is obvious junk. Mamako is surprised and asks if that's really the case. Masato sighs, not surprised by how gullible his mother can be. Suddenly, Porta starts freaking out, and when Masato asks her what's wrong, before she can answer, the salesman vanishes out of the door. Porta reveals that the crystal ball is actually a bomb, leaving Masato gasping in shock. Masato asks Porta what she means by bomb, and as Porta clings to him in fear, she explains that the crystal ball is a powerful bomb that could blow up the entire guild. Suddenly, the crystal ball starts glowing pink, and sounds of a baby crying come out of it. Wise shouts at Masato, urging him to do something, and Medi suggests he grab it and jump into the sea. Masato asks them to leave it to him, but then realizes and asks if it would kill him. Porta cries out, hiding her face in Masato's chest, and tells everyone it's going to blow up any second now. Masato urges everyone to run. However, Mamako picks up the crystal ball and starts shushing it like a little baby while gently rubbing it. She tells the ball that mommy is right here and assures it that everything will be fine, treating it like a crying baby. She asks it to be a good child. Everyone is confused, and Masato asks her what she's trying to do. Mamako tells Masato she's giving the bomb head pats, explaining that since it's crying like a baby, she thought it might calm down. Masato gets frustrated, saying she can't calm down a bomb like that, but he's shocked to see it actually works, and the bomb stops crying. Porta acknowledges it as another special Mon skill, calling it Mother's Head Pat, saying whenever something or somebody is about to explode, Mamako can calm it down, like a mother's instinct. Mamako tells everyone that Masato used to cry like this when he was a baby, but when she held him like this and patted his head, he would always calm down. She asks Masato if he remembers those days, to which he jokingly replies he's not sure if he likes being compared to a bomb. Mamako explains that to a mom, a bomb isn't much different than a baby, as both can blow up and cause chaos at any moment. Mamako remarks that when you think of it like this, even bombs seem cute. Masato disagrees, saying they're not cute at all. Mamako starts praising Masato for his bravery, mentioning how cool he was when he appeared out of nowhere to save her from the mean salesman. She tells him he's her hero. Masato jokes again, saying he gets to be a hero just from driving off a salesman, which doesn't seem like a hard job. They all head out to eat lunch and sit together in the middle of the beautiful valley. They discuss the salesman, and Masato suggests they can assume he was the assailant sent by Amante in disguise. Wise agrees, saying it sounds like a safe assumption. She's surprised to find out it was Amante's doing and asks for more information. Suddenly, they're interrupted by someone, and when they look up, they see Amante standing there. They didn't expect Amante to show up in person, and everyone is annoyed. Masato asks her why she came here in an annoyed tone. Amante replies that the reason doesn't really matter. She came because she kept waiting for the explosion to happen and never heard it. Wise makes a remark to Medi, likening Amante to an idiot who can't keep her mouth shut, which isn't helpful. Amante hears that and gets mad, calling Wise a maid and telling her not to call her an idiot. She screams at her, saying she's not a helpful idiot. Midi cuts her off and asks her a question, wondering if the assassin she spoke of was that salesman. Amante confirms it was. Porta adds that it was meant to send them a bomb and says she won't forgive her for that. Amante asks her what she's talking about, reminding her they're enemies and asking what's wrong with sending a bomb to them that she found in the tower but didn't have anything useful to do with it. Masato jokes about how now she's explaining things they didn't even ask about. Mamako stands up and addresses Amanti as Ms. Amanti, asking if she can have a word with her. Amanti replies that she already told her she's not telling her anything. Suddenly, Amanti realizes she's speaking to Mamako Osuki and gets defensive, telling her to stay away and not talk to her. Mamako takes a step closer and asks her to please listen, mentioning that she has all the adventure children with her and their mothers are worried. She asks if Amanti could tell them to go home. Amanti tells her to shut up and refuses to talk, then runs away. Masato gets up and yells at her, asking why she even came if she's just going to run away. Amanti, while running, says she'll never answer that question, but then stupidly reveals she was going to tell them her next assassin is already on his way, before saying she won't tell them that either. As she disappears, Masato realizes there's going to be another assassin. Suddenly, they hear a loud thud, and upon turning around, they see black smoke rising nearby. They head over to check out the source of the disturbance, finding the place in a mess. Suddenly, they're confronted by three men wielding different weapons. One of them asks how they liked their crystal ball bomb. Masato realizes it's the same assassin who was trying to sell the crystal ball to his mother. The assassin admits he screwed up earlier, but boasts that the bomb makes a nice boom when it goes off. He reveals he's planted bombs 10 times more powerful all across the city, showing them a map with marked locations. Shocked, they argue he can't just blow up the entire city. He displays a detonator, showing he can set off the bombs anytime he wants, and threatens to destroy the town unless they do as he says. He demands to be served by maids, making Wise and Medi visibly angry. The assassin adds that Namako will need to be a maid too, leaving Masato shocked. Mamako agrees and asks what she needs to do. The assassin tells them their first task will be to serve food, laughing at the idea of a maid mom. He makes Mamako wear a maid outfit as well, and when she returns after changing, she apologizes for taking so long since she's never worn one before. She asks the assassin if she put it on correctly. The assassin, visibly blushing a little, thinks to herself that the outfit looks great on Mamako. The other two men with the assassin compliment Mamako, saying she looks amazing and like an angel. She thanks them for the compliments. One of the men asks if she can put a spell on the food to make it taste better. Mamako explains she's not a magic user, so she's not sure if she can do that. They encourage her, saying she can. Meanwhile, Masato is locked up in another room with the others, feeling sad as he hears the voices from the next room clearly. Mamako reassures them that she'll make dinner with lots of love, serving them her special fried rice and asking them to enjoy the meal. Before eating, Masato complains that Mamako was lazy and just tossed everything in the pan to make simple fried rice. However, when he takes a bite, he's completely shocked by how good it tastes. It's fried rice with ham. Mamako explains she knew they'd prefer fried pork, but couldn't find any, so she used ham instead. The assassin gets emotional, revealing his mom used to make this all the time and considered fried rice with ham a classic family meal. They all appreciate the food and share their experiences of how their moms would use chopped hot dogs or canned tuna while making fried rice. They collectively express their longing to eat their mom's fried rice. Porta, Wise, Medi, and Masato also join in the same room and enjoy the fried rice. They're amazed by how delicious it is. Masato whispers to Mamako that these guys are really easy. After eating, the assassin gets up and approaches Masato, saying it'll take more than just food to satisfy them. He declares they're all fed and ready now, then asks to take them to the bedroom with a smirk on his face. All 9 of them head into the bedroom. The assassin lays on the bed and tells Mamako it's time for her to give him lots of service in bed. Masato gets frustrated to hear this, but when he tries to speak up, the other guy with the assassin holds him back. Wise angrily screams at him, asking if this is what he wants after having his appetite fed, and calls him a beast. Medi suggests using force, but the assassin reminds them about the bombs all over the city. He brandishes the detonator, warning that if anything happens to him, all the bombs will go off. Mamako reassures them it's okay as the townspeople's lives are at stake. The assassin interrupts their discussion, dismissing the drama between mother and son, and asks Mamako if she's ready, blushing as he does so. Mamako assures him she understands, getting close to him, shocking everyone in the room, including Masato, who's scared to witness this happening. Mamako kneels beside the bed and extends her arms forward, then she suddenly takes the blanket and covers the assassin with it, starting to sing him a lullaby. Everyone is surprised by this and wonders what she's doing. Both the assassin and Masato ask her at the same time what she's doing. Mamako tells them she's doing what he asked for, which she misunderstood as Mommy's in-bed service. The assassin tries to explain that he meant something more, but Mamako continues singing to him. This makes the assassin nostalgic, remembering his mom who would do this when he couldn't fall asleep. He wishes to be a kid again and realizes that lately he has been making his mom so sad. He closes his eyes slowly, dozing off. The other two men notice how Poki already fell asleep, and they tell Mamako that it won't be so easy with them. However, in no time, both of them are also snoring next to Poki. Masato wonders if his mom is amazing or if the three men were just easy to handle. After waking up at dawn, all three of them apologize to everyone for causing any trouble. They promise to pick up the other bombs on their way back and leave. Mamako asks them to go home and make their moms feel better. In the warm bath, Mamako appears visibly sad. Masato asks her about her feelings, noting that she insisted on having another naked strategy meeting. He suggests discussing whatever is bothering her, whether it's about the children still in the tower. Mamako reveals that she's puzzled by why Amanti harbors such anger towards mothers. Amanti bursts into the bath and confronts Mamako, accusing her of sending her assassins home to their moms and causing her to lose some of her best fighters. Everyone is puzzled by her sudden appearance and demands answers. Amanti refuses to disclose her reasons and becomes embarrassed upon realizing that there's a guy in the bath and she's only wearing a towel. She hides behind a rock, and Masato questions her behavior, asking why she always appears out of nowhere just to hide. Amanti explains that she's embarrassed to be seen in just a towel and questions why they aren't all embarrassed to be bathing together. Masato is relieved to finally see a normal reaction from her, while Amanti admits that it wasn't the response she expected. Medi acknowledges that it's understandable for Amanti to be embarrassed, but as a member of their party, she'll need to get used to it, and eventually, she might even be the first one to invite them. Porta chimes in, saying that baths together are now the new normal for them. Wise urges them to focus on why Amanti is there. Amanti admits that the tower she lives in now doesn't have baths, so she's been longing for one. However, she refuses to disclose her reasons for being there after already providing that information. Wise whispers to Medi about Amanti smelling salty when she enters the room, prompting Amanti to start smelling herself. Medi joins in teasing her about her rough skin and hair. Amanti becomes emotional and close to tears, pleading with Wise and Medi to go easy on her since they're both girls. She asks them to stop saying things that would make her cry. Suddenly, she slips on a soap bar and falls to the floor, her towel coming off in the process. She blames Mamako, calling her a dangerous mother, and rushes out of the room. However, she quickly returns to ask them not to drain the water from the bath. Masato remarks that first she blew up their guild, and now she wants to use their bath. Wise and Medi joke about draining it until it's only 5 centimeters deep. The next day, everyone is surprised to find out that the 3 assassins came to apologize to their mothers. The mothers apologize to Mamako, Masato, and the others and give them gifts as a gesture of apology. Mamako reassures them that it's okay and they don't need to apologize, thanking them for the gifts. The mothers explain that as their way of apologizing, they've come to help them today. They announce that all the mothers in town will join their guild and assist them in clearing the tower. Masato isn't too thrilled about this idea, but they set out on their journey toward the tower anyway. As they walk, the mothers chat about mundane things like laundry, and Masato begins to wonder if he's under some sort of illusion spell. He questions whether a party full of mons is even allowed. Masumi Shirase assures Masato that he doesn't have to worry, as she has already informed the GMs about the situation. She reveals that she secretly removed the restrictions on who could join his guild. Masato expresses his wish that she hadn't done that, noting that while it would have been easier if the assassin Poki and his friends had joined, they had to do something else and couldn't join. Mamako reassures him that the mothers of the town are just worried about their children, nothing more. Masato acknowledges this and admits he needs to understand how a parent feels. Mamako expresses her happiness at seeing him finally mature. Meanwhile, Amanti observes them as they reach the tower and thinks they must be crazy to think they can clear the tower with a group like that. However, she realizes she can't let her guard down as long as Mamako is present. As a mother expresses her need to go back home to close her windows, Masato tries to convince her to stay, but she becomes angry. He calls Wise and asks her to teleport the mother home and back after she closes her window. However, upon realizing Wise's teleportation ability, all the other mothers clamor for her to teleport them as well. Wise tries to explain that she might not have enough energy, but it's futile. Meanwhile, back in the tower, Amanti plans to detonate the crystal bombs when the mothers enter. Wondering why it hasn't happened yet, she decides to check up on them. However, she slips on one of the crystal balls and falls down the stairs, accidentally pressing the detonator button, setting off the bombs. With all the mothers preoccupied with Wise, Medi, and Porta, Mamako remarks to Masato that clearing a dungeon is really fun. Masato responds that they haven't even gone inside yet. As everyone enters the tower, Wise collapses on the floor, drained of energy by the mothers who depleted her power through teleportation. Porta informs the group that Wise is extremely tired, prompting Wise to cry out that she can't take another step. Medi playfully suggests leaving her behind to avoid slowing everyone down, even joking about throwing her into the sea. Wise attempts to rise but falls again. Medi remarks that it's not as fun when Wise doesn't insult her back as usual. Masato intervenes, offering Wise a ride on his back. She accepts, teasingly remarking that she's heavier than he expected and playfully kicks him in response. The mothers praise Masato as a true hero and express a desire to be younger so they could have experienced something similar. Masato instructs everyone to form a line, and Mamako urges them to follow Masato towards the tower's summit. As they proceed, they encounter a collapsed section, prompting speculation about what caused it. Masumi remarks that despite the uncertainty, the rubble provides a convenient path to climb to the next floor. Medi expresses concern about the danger, but Porta reassures her, promising to guide them safely. Porta confidently leads the way, with Medi jokingly remarking that if Porta says it's safe, then it must be. They continue forward, navigating through the rubble. After they pass, Amanti emerges from beneath the rocks, relieved that she didn't perish. Assuming the others have gone ahead, she uncovers a warp tile, intending to teleport herself to catch up with them. Masato and the group reach the 20th floor, where Porta notes their uninterrupted progress. Medi warns them of potential monster attacks from this point onward. Masato cautions everyone to remain vigilant. The mothers grumble about their fatigue and sweating. Seeing everyone's exhaustion, they agree to take a short break. Meanwhile, Amanti anticipates reaching floor 21, where she has hidden a clever secret trap. As she looks up at the feature she installed, which strikes anyone wielding a metal weapon with lightning, she laughs, confident that Mamako and her friends will be defeated this time. Wondering why they're so late, she tries to locate them, but is interrupted by a monster resembling a large purple lizard. Drawing her sword, she is immediately struck by lightning. On the 20th floor, everyone gathers on mats to eat, with one of the mothers having picked up leftovers when she teleported back. They reminisce about their sons and their various talents. Wise begins to feel better after resting. Masato expresses concern about the task of clearing the tower, but Mamako reassures him, stating that the Manis are prepared when it matters most, so he shouldn't worry. Masato questions whether he can truly trust Mamako, and she promises him that he can. Masato accepts her assurance. Mamako then stands up and suggests that now that they've had a nice rest, they should start washing the dishes. Mamako tells everyone to give her their dirty dishes and gets ready to use her sword. But they all notice Amanti falling down the stairs. Masato asks if she's okay. She gets up, angry because she set a trap for him, but got caught in it herself by mistake. After confessing, she refuses to say more. Trying to cover it up, she claims she's not hurt. She stands up and asks Masato about all the moms in his group, thinking it's a joke. Then she gets annoyed with him and complains about how slow they're going up the tower. Mamako tells her that the moms have other things to do. Amanti becomes frustrated, expressing how the moms always seem to cause her suffering and make her miserable. She demands they stop and gets really angry. Masato tries to calm her down, while Mamako reassures Amanti that they'll be done once she finishes washing the dishes, asking for a bit more time. However, Amanti shouts that she's tired of waiting and challenges Mamako to settle everything with the washing competition right then and there. Everyone is surprised by the unexpected challenge. Both Amanti and Mamako take their places as the competition is about to begin, with Wise serving as the judge. Wise addresses Amanti with a funny nickname, which angers her. Medi joins in teasing Amanti, joking about how she's clueless about how badly she's going to lose. The competition starts, with all the moms cheering from the sidelines. Amanti begins confidently, muttering about her skills in household chores even without a mother. She's certain she'll win and glances over at Mamako, who hasn't even started yet. Suddenly, Mamako takes out her sword, surprising Amanti. Mamako coats the blade of her sword with soap and swiftly finishes, cleaning the dishes in a matter of seconds. Amanti is surprised by Mamako's explanation that she used her sword to generate water to help wash the dishes because the guild building's pipes were broken. Mamako insists it was convenient and not cheating. However, Amanti shouts that it is cheating. Wise asks the judges, Porta, Masumi, and Masato, to make a decision. Mishuni clarifies that contestants can wash the dishes however they like, with speed and cleanliness being the key factors. The host announces Momoko as the winner, prompting cheers from everyone. Amanti gets defensive, claiming she was just warming up, and challenges Momoko to something more substantial next time, asking her to bring something else to wash. Momoko mentions there's nothing else to wash, but then suggests cleaning clothes next. Masato notices the shirt in Momoko's hand and realizes it's his. Momoko explains she didn't have time to wash it since they've been running around all day. Amanti agrees to the change. Both Momoko and Amanti take their places again, with Medi and Wise resuming their hosting duties. Medi teases Amanti again by joking about her shirt smelling salty and getting moldy from seawater. Amanti gets angry and secretly smells her shirt, then announces it doesn't smell like seawater and isn't moldy. The competition begins, and Amanti starts working right away, muttering to herself about how she's lived alone in a tower all her life and now wants to show everyone what she's learned. Momoko remains calm and tells herself that she'll give her all to make Masato's shirt whiter and brighter than anyone else's. Meanwhile, Amanti is using all her energy vigorously rubbing the shirt on a washboard, feeling proud of her performance. Momoko approaches her and warns that rubbing the shirt too hard might damage it. Then, she uses her sword to magically wash the shirt delicately, surprising Amanti, whose jaw drops in astonishment. Momoko wins once again, and everyone cheers for her. Refusing to accept defeat from a mom, Amanti declares she hasn't lost yet and runs out, screaming that next time they meet, she'll settle the score. As Masato and his party continue ascending the tower, they reach floor 81 and notice a warp tile there for teleportation. Medi playfully pushes Wise onto it, encouraging her to shine. When Wise steps on the tile, she feels her body becoming lighter. One by one, they all step on the tiles to reach the top of the tower. Masato notices how the tiles seem to alleviate their late afternoon fatigue. Suddenly, he hears a voice behind him revealing that the tile is actually a trap that removes equipment. He realizes all his clothes are gone and feels self-conscious, realizing that's why he feels lighter. Masato asks why she didn't warn him earlier, to which she replies that she thought it might liven up but was becoming a dull dungeon run. She admits that the lack of defense due to being unarmed is a bit of a problem, to which he responds that it's actually a huge problem. Suddenly, he hears his mom behind him, and when he turns to look, she's wearing nothing but her undergarments, as the tile also removed her clothes. Momoko remarks that she was wondering why it suddenly felt breezy but then realized her clothes had disappeared. Seeing Masato, she acknowledges that they're both facing this situation. Masato sighs to himself, realizing he saw this coming. Momoko asks Masato what's wrong and why he looks sad. She gets on her knees and asks if his stomach hurts, starting to rub it. Masato asks her to stop leaning forward like that as he visibly feels uncomfortable. Suddenly, Masumi enters the scene, bare, and tells him she warned the other moms not to step on that tile. Masato asks her to minimize the joking around. He expresses concern about running into a monster in their current state. Suddenly, they hear grumbling noises coming from a big door, indicating there are many monsters behind it. Masumi informs them they're on the 90th floor, close to the top, so they need to be very careful. Masato gets annoyed, telling her it's frustrating to hear that from someone who's messing around more than anybody. Masato alerts everyone to prepare for a fight, and Momoko assures him that she'll fight alongside him. Suddenly, both Medi and Wise also enter the scene, naked, and tell him he can count on their sage powers. Porta urges the other mothers to stay back for safety. Masato shouts that they're all ready but then privately admits to himself that it wouldn't hurt to feel a little embarrassed. He believes the reaction is important. Wise is confused and tells Medi she doesn't understand why Masato is upset. Medi wonders if they should apologize. Masato explains that if they're all in their underwear, their defense is nearly zero, which is bad news. The door is slightly open, revealing Amanti behind them. Masato sighs, noting it's her again. She's also in her underwear and compliments everyone on making it this far. Masato asks her what happened to her clothes, and she realizes she's wearing a typical female RPG armor. She quickly covers herself up using her arms and asks what's going on. She then realizes she was in such a hurry to get to the top of the tower that she stepped on a trap. Masato asks her to notice these things before making a big entrance, giving her points for reacting as she should but calling her no better than the others. Amanti hides behind the door and asks Masato to shut up, declaring she'll finish what she promised. She warns them she'll use her full might to crush them. Amanti calls forth her army of monsters, which Medi notes all look very tough, and there are many of them. They rely on Momoko to handle the situation. Momoko takes out her swords, confident that she can handle all the enemies, no matter how many there are. Masato agrees, suggesting they start with his mom's 2-hit multi-target attacks. One of the mons steps up, recognizing something on one of the monster's heads. Masato also notices the mohawk and questions if it's Pocky. Amante confirms that was the name of the adventurer. She explains that there was a dummy who used a warp tile to come up here while they were fooling around. Masato realizes that Pocky came to the tower. Amante continues explaining that afterward, the dummy tried to incite other adventurers to rise up against her, so she transformed all of them into more fitting forms. After sharing this information, she declares she won't disclose anything else. Masato acknowledges her guts for pulling off such a stunt. Pocky's mother begs them not to hurt her son, as he has a good heart. The other mothers also plead with them not to harm their sons. Momoko lowers her swords and tells Amante she can't hurt Pocky and his friends. Masato agrees. Amante insists that if they can't attack, she will. She orders the monsters to attack and destroy their party and the mothers they hate. However, the monsters all throw down their weapons, and Pocky turns to his mom, asking for her help. All the monsters start crying and plead with their moms for help. Amante questions the monsters' actions, noting she thought they hated their mothers. She then pulls out a gem and begins casting a spell on all the monsters, forcefully instilling hatred toward their mothers by reminding them of how all they ever do is complain and lecture them. The monsters pick up their weapons again and head towards their mothers. Masato realizes they're not after them, but their mothers. Amani laughs and urges them to attack. She then declares she's going to put on some clothes and fulfill her goal. Masato considers if his mom can attack them to slow them down, but he realizes a stray shot might hit the other moms. Frustrated, he tries to think of a solution. Medi casts a spell that creates a wall between the monsters and the mothers. Wise then attacks the monsters, and they use their magical girl combination to fight back. Medi acknowledges that their current strategy will only buy them some time to figure something out. Masato praises them for their quick thinking, and Momoko thanks them, saying it's now Mommy's turn. Masato asks if she has a plan, and she confirms, reminding him of her earlier statement that moms are ready when it counts. She turns to the other mothers and acknowledges how hard it is to believe that their kids have turned into monsters and are now attacking them. But that's the reality. One of the mothers suggests it's because Amante did something to them, and the others agree, stating their children would never knowingly hurt their parents. Momoko explains that it's not just that and suggests there may be something deeper in their children causing this behavior, perhaps not hatred, but rather a feeling of unhappiness. This revelation shocks all the moms. Momoko continues, explaining that she sees the same feelings within her son, and just as parents have feelings, so do children. She acknowledges that sometimes that unhappiness can manifest and attack like monsters, but it's also part of who their child is. She suggests they accept it. The mothers ask if she means to accept it and talk about it with their children. They realize what she's saying and think it's a good idea. Momoko encourages them, reminding them of their incredible power as moms. She uses her mom power to stop the spell cast by Amante, allowing her to get her clothes back, and suddenly, all the moms are dressed in full armor suits. Masumi explains it's mom armor that can endure any attack from their child. Feeling powerful, the mothers realize they can accept their sons with this newfound strength. The monsters finally approach their moms, and the moms try to talk to them. Poke attacks his mom, but she talks to him, expressing understanding, and hugs him, breaking Amante's spell. Pocky shifts back into his human self, feeling awkward about the situation and expressing his frustration about what's happening. His mom continues hugging him, reassuring him that she'll always listen and never let it happen again. Pocky gets embarrassed and asks her to please let go. All the moms are able to bring their sons back using their mom power. Masato jokes about how this looks like a scene from hell. Momoko also hugs Masato and tells him she knows he loves her very much. After the moms finally let their sons go, they sit down and relax. Wise asks if they were trying to take down Amante. Pocky confirms they were, explaining they came to the tower because he felt the need to try to atone for what he did before. The episode starts with Masato, Medi, Wise, Porta, and Momoko running in the tower, and there is a voice behind telling them that whoever clears the tower first will have their wish granted, no matter what it is. However, Amante has wished to get rid of all the mothers in the world, and in case they fail to clear the tower, her wish will be granted. The voice also adds that if it weren't for Mamako's spell that made them wake up, Aman's wish would have come true. Amanti, on the other hand, seems very confident in defeating the boss at level 100 all by herself, and that she does not need anybody now. It requires them to hurry to not make this into reality. Masato reprimands everyone to move quickly as there are just 3 more floors left and tells them to waste no time as they are met with a huge circle on the floor and to just keep running. All of a sudden, as they are running, they get absorbed within the circle. Masato bumps into a wall and finds himself in a dungeon all by himself. You probably wet your pants in a dungeon all alone. He looks around and finds none of his friends. He quickly makes sense out of it and realizes that it is like one of these SPG games where all the teammates get separated and end up in a maze-like dungeon. He thinks there will be numerous traps for them all, but eventually, all of them reunite and meet up at one stop. He tries to convince himself with his theory, but subconsciously knows that this might not be the case. Nonetheless, he starts walking trying to find ways to get out when suddenly hears Mamako call out his name, which scares him a bit. He stops, looks behind, and finds her in a corner. Mamako called him to come in the corner very politely, in a convincing tone. He gets confused, but his quick thinking saves him as he throws a little stone in that corner before he could go in there himself. Mamako gets jailed in the same corner, and hence, it proves that it was just another trap to confine Masato. Suddenly, he hears Mamako's voice from another corner calling for him. He doesn't seem to pay attention as he knows that it must be a trap again. Within no time, he starts hearing his name in Mamako's voice from different corners and areas, but he decided to pay no heed and just keep moving in straight directions. As he moves, he keeps hearing her voice until multiple Mamakos appear in front of him in a nasty horror manner. This scares him a lot, and he doesn't understand the horror touch to it. Mamako's clones start moving in Masato's direction and threaten to punish him as he has not been listening to his mother. Masato gets scared and starts taking steps backwards until he stumbles upon a step and falls down. Hundreds of Mamakos are threatening to eat him alive, and he gets visibly scared until the real Mamako arrives and rescues him. At first he doubts if it is his real mother, but eventually believes that it really is his mother when she starts to scold the other clones of her. She vows to teach them a good lesson for scaring her son, which makes Masato relieved. After dealing with the clones, they start running again, and finally all 5 of them reunite while running. Wise reiterates how different versions of her mom showed up at different times telling her to take a break, but she did not fall in the trap, and she used her chain magic to blow them all up. Medi also adds how she got rid of all the fake versions of her mom with her whack. Porta, on the other hand, did not seem to meet any special incidents and kept safe. Masato appreciates them all, and upon being asked by Wise how he got rid of different versions of his mom when Mamako stepped. But before he could complete his story, they heard a loud thunder from above. They are shocked to find that an explosion took place on the next floor, which was not expected. Mamako thinks it must be floor 100 then, the one above it. They reach the floor and hear Amante hitting on the door, reprimanding it to open as soon as possible. Masato gets shocked as he can't believe that Amante did really take down the final boss of a raid dungeon all by herself. Medi gets shocked at how strong Amante is. Nevertheless, upon their arrival, Amante loses no time and prepares to attack them. She says that if she is not able to get to the top, she might as well defeat them right here on this floor. This unsettles Masato a bit as he knows that if that happens, it can get ugly. Mamako asks Porta to go hide somewhere safe, which she does. Amante remembers how Wise and Medi had said very mean and nasty things about her in the past. Medi and Wise seem to not care about it and say that they only told the truth and there was nothing wrong with it. Masato also feels that the things they said were mean, but he proceeds to ask Amante about the resentment she might have towards him as he is the group leader. Yet he is surprised to know that she does not have anything against him except for the fact that he is Mamako's son. Talk about being petty. Masato starts questioning as to why he is even present there. Wasting no time, Amante starts to attack Masato as she feels he is the most useless of all. She strikes an attack, but Masato creates a defense shield which is broken by her. Due to her attack, he goes flying in the air and bumps into a door. She attacks him again, but Wise uses her wind forces to protect him. Due to Wise's attack, all of them suffer damages which causes a tussle between them, but Mamako tells them to only focus on the battle as Amante is really strong. Medi tells Wise to learn from her as she is about to use her magic, but Wise seems to downplay her sage to just being a mere healer who can't do attack spells. This triggers Medi who, despite being stopped by Masato, starts casting a magic spell on Amante, and unleashes more death. Amanti seems to not lose her ground and calls it useless, and the big black death agent walks right past her but instead traps Medi and Wise in a coffin. This surprises everybody, and Porta, who is looking from a distance, realizes that since they both don't have defense against status effects, they couldn't block the instant death effect. Porta intervenes in the battle to help Medi and Wise. Masato gets really annoyed by Amanti's tricks and expresses his irritation at it. Amanti reiterates that she is the betrayer of mothers, the avatar of rebellion, and has the power to disobey, hence she can reflect attacks due to her passive skills. Masato gets surprised but still stands steadfast and vows to defeat her. Mamako steps in and tries to take charge of the situation, but Masato pulls her back. He says that in case her attack gets reflected, it's gonna be really hard for them to win, which makes Mamako blush. Amanti calls her a troublesome mother and threatens Masato to attack her first and get rid of Mamako right away. Masato obviously contests that, but Amanti tries to lure him into giving in by saying that when she gets rid of all the mothers, he will be free and will be able to go on adventures he desires. As he is trying to lure him, Wise steps in and tells him to stop listening to her and get a hold of himself. She says that a reflect for reflect will work in favor of defeating her, so she strikes an attack, again, despite being stopped by Masato. However, she is shocked to find out that Amanti is a magic swordswoman and is again tricked by her attack. Medi tries to attack her from the side, but loses it again. Amanti attacks her so heavily that she falls to the ground at a distance. Now Amanti prepares herself for an attack on Mamako. She explains to Masato that he is supposed to have different sorts of adventures at his age. She adds that he is supposed to be trusted by his companions, fall in love, and have different adventures, but her mother restricts him from having such experiences, and for that, she must pay. However, before she can attack her, Masato comes in the middle and stops her from doing so. Amanti doesn't like his interference and gets confused as she thinks that things went crazy because of Mamako, but Masato looks at it differently. He says that not everyone gets a chance to get in a video game and go on adventures with their mothers, and he is lucky to have had this opportunity. He adds that her mother has stuck by her every step of the way and has made sure that he is fine. Whether it is fighting with the king, wearing a school uniform and swimsuit, all of it is crazy, but she always protects him and will always be the hero as she is the strongest. He also agrees that her mother has been driving him nuts, but it is all worth it since you never know what to do in such situations. He thinks that nobody knows anything about these adventures, but they do what they think is right and will work, so it really is a crazy adventure with his mom. He continues saying that they don't do anything as they've got everything needed to put an end to this battle. He is adamant to end it together with his mom just as they started together as well. Masato notices his mom has been real quiet, so he addresses Mamako again, who is seen shedding a tear. She comes forward, but Masato jokingly makes a remark saying that the spotlight should be on him alone. Mamako wants to say something to Amanti, but Masato reminds her to not hog his spotlight. Mamako asks Amanti as to why she wants to wipe out all the mothers from the world. Amanti replies that she refuses to believe that mothers even exist and all mothers should disappear from the world. Mamako seems to get worried at her mindset but still doesn't take any offense. She goes on to show her remorse for Amanti's way of thinking and tries to empathize with her. This surprises Amanti a bit as she wasn't expecting such a kind reaction from Mamako when she said that there might be reasons for her to think this way about mothers. However, she completes her sentence by showing her being upset and quickly shows her intentions of attacking her. Masato realizes that it is a setup for her and tries to remind her mother to let him take his spotlight, but is stopped by Wise and Medi, who are sure that Mamako has a solid plan to deal with Amanti. Mamako tells Amanti that she's going to scold her, but she thinks there is no point in doing so. Before she can wrap her head around anything, Mamako attacks her with her magic spell. A huge light fires up, taking over the entire room, and Prado realizes that it is one of the greatest mom spells called Mom Says No, which is used by mothers against people who they actually care for. Masato again complains about her mom not letting him have his moment. She finally stops and Amanti is left in a bad condition. She can't understand how she was able to use such a great magic attack and how she wasn't even able to reflect it back. However, according to Mamako, this is not a track at all, but rather a scolding. Amanti is still in shock and says that it is worse than just a scolding. She further realizes that she would not be able to withstand Mamako's attacks at all, and it is favorable for her to not continue this battle. She wastes no time and runs outside the room towards the wish-granting mirror. She quickly reaches it while Mamako, Prado, Masato, Wise, and Medi are running after her to reach there first. Amante has reached and is trying to catch her breath when the rest of them also reach the spot. It is now just a neck-to-neck battle as to who can say their wishes out loud. Masato has forgotten what he was supposed to wish about, but Masato reminds him of it by saying it is something that Wise said when they entered the tower. He quickly remembers and wishes out loud to be granted with enough eggs for the rest of them. Since he has said his wish before Amante, it is granted and they receive dozens of eggs. This brings a sense of relief for the 5 of them, and Mamako thanks for the eggs. She says that she really ended eggs, and now she would be able to make a good breakfast for them. On the other hand, Amante is miserable as she can't believe that their wish was granted before hers. She starts to say her wish out loud of erasing all the mothers in front of the mirror, but it disappears already and reads "Quest completed." Move on to the next quest. Amante starts crying inconsolably and screams this is exactly why she hates mothers and starts running to get out of there. As she's running in a crying state, she falls in a hole. While Masato is seen crying too, as he begs for all of this to stop happening to him. On Amante's way back, she is seen cribbing about her defeat and vows to take revenge from Mamako as she thinks it is all her fault. She thinks that she should not talk about this to other fiends but still will find a way to defeat her. Amante reveals that her rebel group called Rebel will eventually hunt her down and defeat her and make this world an ideal place for them to live. On the contrary, Mamako has cooked eggs and rice for the team and they are all in for a feast. But Masato does not seem to enjoy it as he thinks that he worked so hard and all he gets as a reward for this quest are eggs and rice. He is disappointed to say the least. Misumi expresses her surprise and pokes him by saying that she thought he would wish for her mommy's panties as a reward. Nonetheless, Misumi completes her rice and appreciates the team that they defeated and fulfilled her expectations from a hero team. Although she is not able to make sense out of many things, she pulls out a shining purple stone which is recognized by Sage and Medi who had seen it on their mothers during the game. This is their first time getting an undamaged one, so she will do her due investigation to find out why Amante was using this. She also reveals that Amante is a part of the Rebel group which has 4 fiends. Prado quickly understands that there are 3 other enemies to defeat for now. Misumi agrees and announces that in order to do so, she has prepared a new quest for them to completely defeat the enemy group, Rebel. The party cannot catch a break. All of them then go out and look at the statue made by the natives to celebrate their win and make their town a better place. Masato finds it embarrassing and wants to leave as soon as possible, but Masato insists on staying. He says that they need to go on another quest, so they start walking. While they walk, Wise is seen boasting about how the quest ended exactly how she had predicted for it to end, and that she should predict for the next quest as well. Medi reminds her of her silent magic skills and tries to shut her down. As a result, both of them indulge into another typical playful argument. Porta is happy to eat the egg cookies that Mamako had made as they are delicious. Mamanko takes the opportunity to speak to Masato and ask him if he really meant what he said on the quest when he mentioned that he loved going on adventures with his mom. Masato agrees that he meant it, but Mamako can't believe it and says that it feels like a dream. She hugs Masato while walking and wishes that he is able to go on many more adventures with his mommy and friends. Mamako seems to light up during this interaction, which is noticed by everyone while walking. Masato tries to cover up by saying that he didn't mean what he said half-heartedly but can't seem to hide his real emotions. In the end, he finally agrees that this was indeed their adventure and everybody seems to agree with it.